agenda. You have up to 2 minutes on any subject within its jurisdiction that is not scheduled on this agenda for public discussion. Is anyone wishing to speak? Okay, no one coming forward. I'll close public comment and roll call, please.
Thank you. Chair Miller.
Here.
Vice Chair James. Here. Board Member Farrell.
Here.
Board Member Motisha.
Here.
Board Member Richards. Here. And Board Members Sweeney and Ziegler are absent.
Thank you. Let's go to the approval of the Single Family Design Board minutes for February 3rd, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, let's go through the projects. We have 301 Mohawk Road. Item 2, 3333 Brimar Drive. (3354) Cliff Drive. Item 4, 630 Miramonte Drive. Item 5, 1142 Harbor Hills Drive. Item 6, 435 East Valerio Street. Item 7, 574 Ricardo Avenue. Hearing no comment, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Thank you. Let's go to the approval for the minutes for the consent for February 10th. Erica?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The consent calendar for February 10th is as follows. Item A, 619 East De La Guerra Street. This project received project design and final approval with comments. Item B, 3054 Maryland Way. This project was continued indefinitely with comments. Items A and B were reviewed by Chair Miller and Vice Chair James.
Thank you. Can I have an approval for the minutes?
I make a motion to approve those.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Thank you. Okay, let's go to the consent minutes for today, February 18th.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The consent calendar for February 18th is as follows. Item A, 837 Arbolado Road. This project was continued 1 week at the request of the applicant. Item B, 825 Roble Lane. This project received project design and final approval with neighborhood preservation, hillside design, and sloped lot findings met with comments. Item C, 61 Vista Del Mar. This project received project design approval with neighborhood preservation, hillside design, and sloped lot findings met with comments. And item D, 811 Litchfield Lane. This project received project design and final approval with neighborhood preservation, hillside design, and sloped lot findings met with comments. Items B through D were reviewed by Chair Miller and Vice Chair James.
Thank you. So do we have any announcements?
We need to vote on this.
Do
I
you wanna
move
make a
to
motion?
accept
Oh.
these minutes.
Sorry, yeah. All those in approve, make a motion, please. Jan makes a motion.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Thank you. You jumped the gun. Okay, do we have any subcommittee reports?
Not this time, next board meeting.
Okay, and do we have any announcements?
No, not today, Mr. Chair. Thanks.
Okay,
I have a quick announcement. I have to leave at 4:45, so
okay.
stepping out a little early.
Will we have a quorum?
Yeah, if
Yes, we just need one licensed architect and 4 members for a quorum.
okay, great, thank you. Okay, seeing that, we'll go to our first project, which is 32 Skyline Drive. This is a new item. Someone here to represent that. Would you like to come forward and please sit? Yeah. This is a new item, so I'll read it into the record, and once I'm done, you can introduce yourselves and show us what you're going to do. proposal is to remove the composition shingle roof on an existing single-unit residence located on a 10,394 square foot lot on the Hillside Design District and replace with a new dark brown standing seam metal roof. The project also includes re-roofing the garage in a dark gray PVC material. Project design and final approval is requested. Project requires neighborhood preservation, hillside design, and slope lot findings. So if you could introduce yourselves, please, and show us your project.
I'm Sarah Carr, I'm the homeowner.
Thank you.
I'm Troy, I'm the roofing contractor, and Nikki works for me, so she's going to help us with the paperwork.
Okay. So show us the roof.
All right, so we have several sets of photos here, including these. So we have our roof plot plan.
So this roof slopes in two directions. There's no ridge line because the roofs are like this. So there's clear story windows across here. And from the street, you can't really see the back side, but this part is visible kind of through the trees.
So this is the roof photographs, right?
Yeah. Nikki, help
Yeah,
them with
So the very first photo, here is the street view of the house. So the roof is pretty much obscured by the trees. But then here's from the front of the house on the driveway, so you see the sloped roof and the flat roof here. And then we were asked for photos of all four sides of the house. So here's the north side. We have east, south, and I think I skipped one. Yeah, so west, north, east, and south there. And then we have several photos of the neighborhood, so various kinds of roofing materials were used throughout the neighborhood. So we have some neighbors to the back with flat roofs, some comp roofs, and there's actually a rear neighbor that has a corrugated metal roof, which we noted here on Fellowship, and we have a photo of that back here as well. So they have a gray corrugated metal roof.
Okay.
That's directly behind Sarah's house,
Okay.
although you can see it from Fellowship, not from Skyline Circle.
So there were several other metal roofs in the neighborhood. There is a standing seam metal roof already on this street in white at 81 Skyline Circle. This is the proposed site, 32 Skyline Circle, that we are applying for. Down the street a little bit, there was a flat roof and metal roof at 20 Skyline Circle. And then also on Fellowship, there's a metal tile roof. So there's definitely some metal present in the area.
Okay.
But the roofs throughout the neighborhood are composition shingles. There was a metal shake, a metal tile. There were a couple of standing seam metal roofs. There's clay tile, concrete tile, and a bunch of flat roofs. So it's
Quite an assortment.
it's quite an assortment, yeah. And it's I guess the word would be eclectic in terms of style and rooftops. There's both traditional and there's even a very contemporary house
Very, very contemporary.
right over here on this part of the circle,
Okay.
sort of in between the traditional houses.
Yeah, and some old Spanish ones as well. So it's
The color that Sarah was leaning towards is musket, which is kind of a coffee color.
Which is this color?
Yeah.
All right.
And it actually reads a little bit lighter
Okay.
in person than on that chip. And her house has gray walls, some red trim and some green trim, and it was a nice contrast with that color. And that color would blend really well with the trees and the vegetation. She has a lot of trees and a lot of vegetation around her house, to the point where when you're standing on the street looking down, you really just sort of get glimpses of it. You don't really see it.
Okay.
You just sort of get glimpses of it through the trees.
Oh, and you asked about the duralast is proposed for the flat roof. So
There's a
on
carport.
Yeah.
Oh, for the carport. Got it.
Yes. So there we go.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Is there anything you wanted to add?
Well, I built this house with my father 45, almost 46 years ago.
Oh.
Found the lot with an old sign on it, which had a zone number, not even an area code.
Wow.
Went to the county, looked it up, contacted the man who owned it and made an offer for less, but it was under 10,000 for a third of an acre way back in 1973.
Good for you.
It was just yesterday.
Yeah, really. Wow. All right, thank you. So is that your presentation?
Is
And I
there
would-
anything that's missing that you need?
Well, we're going to go into, see if there's any feedback, and then we'll get back to you. So
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
So
When does that happen?
right now.
Oh, okay,
Right now,
good.
just
Right now.
hang on. So the next step, is there anyone out in the audience wishing to talk or speak about this project? Seeing no one come forward, did we get any emails?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So I'll bring it back to the chair, the board, and see, do we have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
So the standing seam metal roof is over the house, and then you're proposing this gray material for the carport? And what is that? I mean, what is that material like? I mean,
The gray, well, so flat roofs traditionally were hot mopped back in the old days when they'd haul the kettle out there and fire it up and it would stink and they'd mop down the hot tar.
okay.
It wasn't very reliable. They came out with new roll roofing product that has a granular surface
other materials later on.
that they call torch down or modified.
Okay.
And that product was a little more reliable. It relied a lot on skill level. The problem was that every now and then a roofer would burn down somebody's house. The new material, the PVC, has turned out to be a very reliable flat roof system. And it is a membrane, and you heat fuse the seams.
Okay.
If you get a puddle on the roof, it doesn't hurt it. And over the long haul, it just performs really well. So that's what we propose on a flat surface like a carport. And carports tend to, most of them have been overspanned just a little bit. So a lot of them have just a little bit of a dip in the center. So it's good to have material that is that doesn't break down if it were to get a puddle or a little bit of standing water.
Okay, and you didn't want to use the same metal that you're using on the rest of the house for that?
Yeah, metal can't be installed on a flat
Okay.
surface.
Okay.
I have no
No
question.
questions?
Yes.
Yes. So this photo that shows the flat roof, the second photo, maybe you want to, yeah, right there. Where was that taken? Is this the view you can see from the street?
That is about halfway down the driveway. So this is from the street. And then if you were to walk over this way, just past this tree is where the driveway is. So you have to come down onto her driveway in order to see that.
See the membrane on the roof then?
It's
Okay, so it's
truly not
not,
very visible from the
Okay.
street, yeah.
that was my
There's a
question.
lot of trees and a lot of vegetation, and you get
Yeah, I
little
was
glimpses.
out there. It is hard to even find a house, so,
Oh,
okay, that was
okay.
my question. Thank
You went by, huh?
Excellent.
Yeah.
We go by all the projects.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Homework.
See the,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
Snoop around the neighborhood and see what we're reviewing.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that.
Richard, do you have any-
Diligence.
well, is there any reason to consider having two colors that match? Or do you think that they,
Well, the PVC is not available in that real dark brown. They do have a color where it variegates, but it kind of looks like river rock, and Sarah said it looked fake.
okay,
And she'd rather just have the solid monotone dark gray. And so she's the boss, so I went, okay.
do you have an example of the other material? Just
We
curious.
didn't bring it, no.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing we have is this chip, colored chip.
Well, I guess it would be another
Oh,
color
this
of
one.
the,
Right,
Well, there it is, right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go get one if you'd like.
So that's kind of,
Sorry.
Can you,
same to you.
Can you look up rock ply on the Duralast website, show it to them maybe?
it would be a
Well,
different
there,
color.
here it is, right here.
It would be a
There's the-
different color on the carport,
It would be this
Yeah,
color
this
on the
color.
carport.
Yeah.
but the other alternative that you're describing, the one that
Would-
has a
would-
variegated color to it?
It's kind of weird. They did a print on top of the PVC.
It's like a faux, you're saying it's
It's
like
like
a
a
faux.
faux.
It's an image
It
of
looks like
rocks.
river rock. yeah.
I was just curious if there's a way to make the two colors match. That was
Yeah.
all I was getting at.
So the house is a light gray with red trim and green trim, and the dark gray goes really nice with that, and that real dark musket, kind of a coffee color, contrasts nicely.
So here's it's a print of rocks, but it's the same.
There you go. There you
yeah,
can see it.
But it's the same finish.
Looks like
So-
bugs.
I can agree.
It's a little bit.
Sarah thought it looked fake, her son thought it looked fake,
Yeah.
and basically the consensus was we'd really prefer not to do fake.
Okay, I
Yeah.
can appreciate that. So.
By the way, that was a color that I had shown her already to see if she was interested.
So I have a question. The distance between the seams and the ridge heights of the,
The distance between the seams is 16 inches, so it's just like standard construction, like 16 inches between the studs. So it's 16-inch wide panel, and the seam is the thickness of a 2x4. It's an 1.5-inch seam like this. So they have different seams in metal. Most of the roofers like this stuff called snap lock, where you just push it down until it snaps and they're done. It goes fast. These seams will all be crimped, which locks the whole roof together in a this is snap lock. And what we're proposing is a seam that gets, you can see it right there, it gets crimped on the seam. And it makes it real tight and monolithic and wind resistant.
This is the standing seam that's on the same street. That's
That's not the
around
one
the
we're
corner.
proposing.
Right.
This is the panel we're proposing. And the metal is really nice if you want to do rain barrels and collect water. It's actually the preferred roof for that. And Sarah and I had talked about that a little bit. And it's also really nice if you ever decide to do solar. You don't have to penetrate the roof. The stanchions can actually clamp right to the standing seam, and then the panels can mount to that. So there's no additional work if you wanted to go back and do solar at a later date.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what about gutters? Do you propose to put rain gutters around this that match it?
That will be up to her, and we can do it, and if we did it, we could match them, yes. I don't know if she's.
Rain
wanting
gutters
to-
would be the same color, same material.
I can, well, it's not the same
Same
material.
material, but it would be
So
same
the
color.
material is 24 gauge steel with
Yeah,
a pine arc
rain gutters
paint,
would be aluminum, yeah.
and the rain gutters would be aluminum, but the two colors, even though it's two different materials, you can match the color
Good,
down.
okay.
Musket. And it makes it look really tight, like it was well thought out.
Okay.
Definitely when rain gutters, okay.
So going to comments. Does anyone have any comments?
No,
So a couple comments I have is, what is your feeling about doing it on 12 inches on center as opposed to 16 inches on center?
It tends to look busy.
The
We've done 12, 16, and 24,
yeah.
and the 16 just generally has the best sort of aesthetic, where when you start getting them closer together and you got a lot of lines on the roof, it tends to look a little more busy.
Yeah.
And this one is sort of a happy medium between the 24 and the 12.
It's okay. Because the funny experience I have now, it's my experience, is that the narrower looks better than the wider. The wider you get, the more industrial it tends to look. Whereas when they're closer together, it's more. I don't know why. I don't have a logical explanation. And now you're saying it looks too busy. So
Well, most of my work is residential. I do
Yeah.
very little commercial.
yeah.
And all the houses that I've roofed have been 16 on
Yeah.
center,
Yeah. I don't.
And that's over a 30-year period.
Okay. Any other feedback? How do you
Is
feel?
there enough detail in what's submitted here? Like, would Fred start to
Yeah,
comment
the thing-
on the necessity of some
Fred, well,
details?
the thing one of the things we find, I personally find, standing metal seam roofs tend to give an industrial feel to a home. I mean, it's very contemporary and very popular, and it's great for solar heating. Plus, I think it lowers your fire insurance.
Yes.
So it's really great in that respect. So I'm just thinking in my own what do I say, this aesthetic, subjective
Yeah.
look of it. So I'm not going to say this is right or wrong. I'm
What
just-
I would say is that that color of that photo, I think looks a little more industrial. When you go to this musket, it tends to warm it up a lot.
Okay.
And it looks a lot more homey and a lot less industrial. And I would, yeah, if I thought it was going to have an industrial look, I would have had that discussion with Sarah a long time ago, because I don't think that's a good thing to do to a home. It needs to be warm.
Right, exactly. Lisa?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Will you maintain the same complete lack of any overhang? And how does if you're not going to do gutters, how's that going to end to keep us from seeing the ridges? Are you going to have a completed, well, see, this house has no
On the
eaves.
gables, on the gables. So the gutters will be down here on the eave edge, and the house has what I would call two shed roofs. So there is no ridge on this house, because you have a shed roof that'll have an L cap.
Oh,
And a lower roof that'll go up
It's a
to the
clear
clear
story.
story windows, and there'll be no ridge on this house.
So there's no overhang then? There
The-
won't be any overhang
The overhang is on the eave edge,
only on here?
but not on the gables. And that wasn't anything that myself, the roofing contractor, has anything to do with. That goes back to the day that Sarah
Right.
built the house, yeah. Her and her father.
okay. Well, I got my questions answered and comments.
Yeah.
So any further, let's see, they're here for design approval. So if they're here, if someone would like to make a motion,
I would like to make a motion that we approve this standing seam metal roof for this location. I think it's appropriate, and the colors will blend in nicely with the foliage and the rest of the neighborhood. I think the 16-inch wide panels are acceptable with the 1.5-inch high seam. I think you are using quality materials. It's consistent with the design of the house. It's compatible with the neighborhood, and that's my motion.
thank you.
Second it.
Okay, we have a second?
Can we include hillside design
Yeah.
slope plot findings?
The natural topography is not being damaged, and the development is in scale with the building. There's no grading that's going to be occurring on this lot, so I find it acceptable.
I still second it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions, the ayes have it. Okay, all right, got yourself a new roof.
Thank you,
Awesome.
appreciate it.
I like it for safety reasons and aesthetic reasons both.
Great.
It's going to be beautiful.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much.
So our next steps would be back to the permitting process.
Oh, yeah, there's a 10, yes, forgot to announce that.
Sorry, say that one more time.
There's a 10-day appeal period, so if someone's going to appeal it, they have 10 days to do that.
Okay.
So
So we can't start tomorrow.
you can, it's just that, be aware that if someone is going to appeal it, that may happen, but odds are for this very unlikely.
So my neighbors have been notified about this
Yes.
project?
And this was their opportunity to come speak about it, and since no one showed up, have you talked to them? Have anyone, so.
I mean, my immediate neighbors are very interested because, the concept of a metal roof is appealing to a lot of people. And there's a limited
Yeah.
amount of them in the neighborhood, so
Yeah.
they're kind of watching
Okay.
how I pave the way.
All right,
So then,
How long before we can pull a building permit?
that would be up to the city, you'd have to talk to.
You can submit at risk until the 10-day appeal period is over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hey, thank you.
okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, 665 Circle Drive.
Oh, my. Standing seam day.
Another standing metal seam.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
How are we doing today? Pretty good, Chuck.
Billy Good.
All right.
Is this,
Landscape
Good to see you.
so this is the theme of tonight's session is standing metal seam roof.
Metal roofing, metal
All
roofing.
right, so
Absolutely.
this is a new item, so I'm going to read it into the record. The proposal is to replace a beige California shake roof on an existing single-unit residence with a new standing seam metal roof in Sierra Tan. Project is located on a 28,101 square foot lot in the Hillside Design District. Project design approval and final approval is requested. Project requires neighborhood preservation, hillside design, and slope lot findings. So if you could introduce yourselves and show us your new roof.
I'm Allison Biskner. I work with Wicks Roofing and Solar. Rustin Slager is the property owner at 665 Circle Drive, and Chuck Hunt is our superintendent at Wicks Roofing and Solar. He'll be in charge
You
of.
work in central casting? Perfect, okay.
That's
Yep,
it.
here we go. You got it. You got it. I have brought a sample of the roofing material with us here today, just so everybody can check it out, see exactly what's going on with it.
Okay.
This is a 24 gauge steel product. It is what is called a snap lock, meaning that there are clips that hold this down, and then this seam would snap over this one and lock in there. Very common panel. Stands up incredibly well to the elements, especially for fire resistance. Has been in design for a long time now. We've installed quite a few of them. Rustin likes the color pattern.
If you could
that
bring it
match-
over here, just so
Oh, sure.
it's under a camera.
Absolutely. Please, take a look at it. The home itself has a dark brown fascia that is already existing there. This is going to show what the home looked like originally. You can see that it does have the dark brown fascia. It does have kind of a cream colored paint to it. The color of the panel accents the color of the paint very well. And after we are done, we are going to install gutters that will be of the same color that matches the fascia, as you can see there. In the neighborhood, there are a whole series of other different metal roofs. We have quite a few pictures. This shows the dimension. This is where the driveway is. This is where the front door is. And as we get into the packet, I believe you all have the same packet. It kind of gives you, just what I said right there, some dimensions. This is what it looks like when you're driving up to it. There are, as we were talking about, several other different metal roofs in the area. A lot of the metal roofing kind of depends on personal preference and design theory, obviously. This is a color that seems to accent the home. And this is what we're proposing to do. This is where the T-fire started, so you can see that actually is from where the neighborhood is. This is also showing several other different kinds of metal roofs in the area. Rustin's particular house, nobody really looks down on it in the neighborhood. With the slightly sloping driveway, when you come to the front of it, you're actually looking up at it. Several other places have gotten, different kinds of metal roofs over the years. The majority of the thought is for fire protection, obviously.
I did the house right across the street from that one.
Oh,
I was just going to
fantastic.
say, that house was recently from shingles. We do have a picture of it from Google when it was in shingles. And it's now been done in.
Spanish.
Oh,
metal.
not, okay, not the same one then, but
you
there
don't
is
have
there's one that, 688.
You don't have a picture of that house, but it doesn't go with what you're trying to present anyway.
So we were trying to stay within, the hillside district, the wildland interface area as well, and compatibility with the neighborhood, so the adjacency and the consistency of staying within earthen tones and the fire resistance, again, because of the T-fire. And then overall, with the hillside districts and with the wildland areas, you also want to have a overall neighborhood resiliency to natural disasters like fire. And there are approximately about 6 other There were 6 other new, it's different doing this versus presenting it to you. Yeah, this is where the house is now. And just a few doors down across the way is where this was previously a shingle home. It's now been made into a standing seam metal along with this one. This is a rather modern home for the neighborhood, and that's standing seam metal, these two. So it fits in, and some of the pictures and tents were to show how it does combine well with other. It's not a huge noticeable difference. It's consistent with the neighborhood.
Okay.
So, and again, the slope of the general neighborhood too, roof's not that visible from the street. You know, you see more of the landscaping.
Okay. All right. Is that your presentation?
Do you have any questions?
That's
Where we're getting it.
just
Excellent.
we're heading that
All
direction.
right.
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak about this project? Seeing no one come forward, did we get any emails?
Can I say a couple things?
No, of course.
So about every 20 or 30 years, there's a fire, usually goes down. Before the Tea Fire, there was the Sycamore Fire.
Yeah.
And I'd say a majority of those metal roofs on the circle there are houses that burnt down, either in the Tea Fire, probably all in the Tea Fire, actually.
I did this house and I did that house.
Yeah, so that canyon in our
okay.
backyard is a fire corridor that leads down to Sycamore Canyon, and both those fires, our backyard burned. So that's our motivation for metal, because
Yeah.
some of the houses that burned there, it was just cinders and that landed on their roofs, so there'll probably be a big trend in this whole area for more of the same, so maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
So guidelines, I know it's kind of new, but it would be good to have
Yeah.
guidelines for everyone as well.
Yeah, I've also heard that gutters, they prefer vinyl gutters as opposed to metal because when the burning embers catch into the gutter, the vinyl melts away, whereas metal, it just stays there and burns, and that's what, so
Yeah.
I learned about too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then secondly, our motivation was to keep the earth tone and try to match as close to our old roof. So that's why we came up with Surrey Bay, or the tan, yeah.
Right. All right. So is that it?
I guess that's it.
I guess in summing it up, we feel like we've made all the criteria for the hillside district requirements and adjacency in the neighborhood and wildland fire issues.
Right. All right. And so I'll bring it back to the board for questions. Anyone have any questions?
Question? Yes,
Yes.
I do.
Lisa.
Can I see this for a second, Robert? On this photo, are these the same paint, just in different light?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
one's more towards sunset time, yes.
Okay.
Right.
So that answers that question. And is this a 16-inch?
This
Panel?
particular one is an 18-inch panel.
18-inch, okay.
You're putting what's called a butterscotch roof on the top of a butterscotch house
Pretty much.
with a dark brown trim, basically. I like butterscotch. Leaving so the accents will stay. The shutters and the eyebrows over the windows and everything will stay. You're just going to.
There are no other exterior changes being proposed. It's just basically, it's just the roof.
Just
So
the
it's a
roof,
pretty,
yeah.
it's a pretty modest home for the neighborhood and no other exterior changes.
And it is this color, not the white that this.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's more of a tannish
It's
color,
tan.
yes.
Okay, fine.
Dan, do you have any questions? Okay. Any questions? I'll go into comments.
I have a quick question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Is this product, does it come in two ways where, like, I see this has like corrugated finish to it. Does that come in a flat finish too? Like the shape of the material there?
Yes, it comes in a variety of different ways. The purpose of what this is called striations.
Okay.
And the purpose of this is to prevent oil canning, meaning the panel that would move when it's in the sun. It gets really warm up there. And if you drive by some of the other roofs, you can see that it looks like it has a slight distortion to it. The striations help prevent that look. That's the purpose of that. Once it is actually installed, you very rarely see the actual marks. Obviously, when it's sitting here on the table, they show up. But on the roof, you don't really notice it. Keeps it from, it makes it look actually flatter compared to kind of warping.
So would you say most of the metal roofs that you see, are they material that's the same as that, or is it, do they, like, if you were going to say a certain percent of them have striations and some of them don't?
It's about half and half, about half and half. MTD bus station, when you drive by and you look at the copper, that also has striations in it too. And the purpose was that, to try and make it look so it didn't buckle in the heat.
Or prevent it from buckling.
Prevent it from buckling as much, yes. With the heat and cold, everything moves, metal moves a little bit, but the purpose of this is to try and keep it looking as flat as possible.
Okay.
Okay, I don't have any questions, so we'll go to comments. Who has comments? Yes, Lisa.
I am not sold on the color. I think it's too close to the paint color, and if it was actually a darker brown that shows in the light picture, I'd feel more comfortable with that. I'm also wondering if this product comes in a heavier gauge, so you wouldn't need the striations, or a less shiny finish. It looks, we see a lot, wait a minute. We see a lot of finishes on standing metal that comes through here, and that one seems kind of shiny to me. I'm curious what my colleagues have to say.
Wait till everyone speaks, and we'll give you a chance to reply.
I think yes, with a flat surface, you're not going to get the showing of shining like it does right here. And this is a very, as the sun goes over, you're going to see the lines in the roof, as I see the lines in the roof from the lights above in the ceiling here. And I would like to see it smaller instead of the 18. So we pushed it. We have pushed it to 16.
Yeah.
Now we're pushing it to 18. I think it's too wide.
Yeah.
The color is, the comment, I didn't go as far as I meant to, but you're putting butterscotch on top of butterscotch, and there's no contrast. It's just like you're just having a solid one color roof and wall with just some accents.
The paint's actually yellow.
Paint's yellow. Well, that's
It's more of the exterior paint is.
yeah,
it's
that's
a little
even
yellower.
weirder.
Yeah, I agree with my colleagues. I really think that you should study a different color for this. I think that that's just going to look too monochromatic with the same colors.
With that light color, you're going to see those lines. If it doesn't, I mean, you say you're preventing the standing seam from warping. I'd rather see it warped than see those lines constantly as the sun moves, and you're constantly seeing. You're looking because you're going to look right straight at the house, and yeah, I would like to see something a little bit.
Can I ask a question? Did you entertain some other color options?
It is the homeowner's choice
I'm
of what
asking him.
color.
We could go with a little darker if we could get.
Sure.
If there,
There's a variety. This also still has the protective plastic wrap on it. That's what's making it look shiny too. There's
homes with
plastic,
this on
so you
Sycamore
can
Canyon.
peel it off right there.
With that same color?
Yeah.
You mind if I peel it?
No, go for it.
Here's the other sample.
Oh, that does make a difference.
Let's see.
That does.
Yeah, and the purpose of that is to prevent scratching when installed.
It doesn't, sorry. Looking at our LED lights, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Still doing the same thing.
Sorry.
Yeah, I would entertain him, just think that you should probably come back and present us with something that's a little bit dark, a little bit more contrast, a little bit darker than a house putting a hat on a yellow house. You're describing a yellow house, and I just can't see this on top of a yellow house with no.
Do you have the samples?
Yes, Rustin, is there something that you would like
Is
to
it-
see?
Are you concerned about glare, or are you concerned about color?
Hold on a second. Let me get our questions and comments done, and then we'll get you back to, do you have another comment, Robert?
Well, I agree with the consensus of the rest of the board that the color of the roof and the color of the paint on the house, well, at least from the photographs, they look like they're just close enough and far enough away where it almost looks like a mistake, in my opinion. And if you look at the examples, some of the other metal roofs that you provided, there's more contrast between the roof and the paint color of the house. And so I think it's worth studying your choice of colors just to see if you can find a little bit of contrast between those two. And just, quick evaluation of looking at the photographs of your house, there's some other opportunities to maybe say freshen up the appearance of it, but I think it might be worth asking an architect, I guess you're just trying to do the roof right now. I understand that you're not trying to
Trying
improve
to
the whole
replace the
house.
roof, and it
but-
was the same color before.
Yeah. But you're saying the existing roof is the same color as that?
It's the cowl shake.
There's contrast.
Right, the cowl shake is cowl shake, but you can't do cowl shake anymore.
We just would like to see something that isn't monochromatic.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I tend to agree with my colleagues. I think it's a little too light. The other thing is, we would like to see this at least 16 inches on center as opposed.
Oh, we could do that, that's not a
Because it's a
problem.
little, it just gets a
too
little
wide.
too industrial. Yeah, and you can use it, and you can just tell the reflectivity is there, so I can't really support this color. I mean, there's got to be something where it doesn't reflect so much. That's a major issue that we've confronted. Hold on, so I think I kind of would like you to, and the other thing is this height too. Is there some way this could be reduced a little bit so it's more residential or whatever? And the other question that comes up in our board quite a bit and probably would come up again is the width of the ridge, whatever that thing's called that covers the ridge.
Ridge cap?
Yeah, the ridge cap,
Yes.
making it narrower rather than wider. We found that if it's real wide, it's not as attractive as if it was narrower. Now, we're just looking at the visual aesthetics. We're
Yes.
not talking, what your how you're going to construct it. But our experience has been that if it was a narrower ridge width as opposed to wider, it looks a little more attractive.
Gotcha. The ridge cap can be made out of just about any size you're looking for.
Okay.
There is a specific size
Okay.
that's made for the slope of the roof.
Okay.
So commonly in this situation, it might be a 6x6, 6 sides on each side of the peak. We can make it different sizes, that's not a problem.
So I think what I'm getting from the group is if you could have us come back with a different color and address the reflectivity on this so that it's not so reflective, and have us do probably a 16-inch seam. I kind of see that. Any other comments?
Yeah, it's a comment and a question. If you have 16 or 12-inch seams, is there less buckling the closer the seams are together? It seems more like there'd be more structural integrity. And does this come in a flat product that doesn't have striations?
It does, and yes, you are correct. If it is a little bit narrower panel, it does make it a little bit stiffer, yeah.
I like them at 12 inches. That's my favorite for residential.
I think it's too narrow, I think it's too busy.
But he thinks it's too busy.
I
Yeah.
don't think we need to go that far. Well,
Well, I'm just
Yeah.
stating my opinion.
me too.
Okay.
me too,
And that's-
me too.
So a 16-inch panel is not that hard to do. We can still do that. This is
Yeah.
just more of a sample of what the panel is designed for.
Sure.
So 16-inch panel, that's easy. Rustin, is there any other color choices that you have?
Yeah, so here's,
Well, I think what we would like to do is, we want you to come back with us with your new color based on our comments. We don't want to decide for you what your color is, so,
the reason we picked that is because there's ratings of glare for each one of these.
yes.
And that was one of the lowest.
Yeah. Well, I think what the board is, tell me if I'm overstating something, but I think we're tending toward not that color.
So it's not glare, it's color.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've picked out three colors that are not, that we don't like, or they're not appropriate for the neighborhood.
There are
Meaning-
other roofs with that color.
Well, here's the thing, you might want to, if you really strongly feel about this, I think you've got to present a stronger argument, because what we're seeing is some really kind of a garish color, and we may not be accurate in what we're seeing based on these photographs, because, for example, this is the same house, yet from the lighting, it looks like two different houses from the sunset, so.
Come back with a paint chip from your house so we can see the exact paint next to the exact roof color.
If you're
And then
real-
if you're really stuck on this color, and then you might have a more,
Because we do.
More of an argument.
Because we are concerned about reflectivity too, so.
Okay, I do know in Sycamore Can, there's 2 homes with that already on there. That
We're
sturdy
only
base.
dealing with your house. We're not
Okay.
dealing with the other
And
two.
bring photographs.
I think what the client is also trying to find out is, even if it's this contrast and you want to see it a darker brown, I mean, so that they have a limit, they're
If you
not
would
going to
like to
come back
make a
with a red
proposal- if you would
roof.
like
They
to
want
make
to
a-
know the tone.
If you would like to make a proposal for a darker color, do that. But if you would like, if you're, we're also saying if you like this, convince us. And we can't tell you how to convince us, but we are looking, we've told you that we don't really think this color belongs on top of this colored house, which we're looking at right here in these photographs. Convince us that,
Oh, and another thing that might, to me, is a little jarring about it is that, like, you've got brick, you've got a white or yellow color of the body of the house, you got blue shutters, and you got brown trim, and now you're proposing a different color for the roof. And so there needs to be some, like, cohesiveness to the use of materials, is kind of what I'm
have
saying.
gutters. Then you're gonna put gutters on that too. I assume the gutters are gonna be dark. If the fascias are dark,
The gutters would match the color.
Gutters
of
match
the
the gutters will
fascias.
match this.
Yeah.
So then you'll have your roof, your gutters, it'll just fold right into some colors that really don't have any contrast other than the things I asked about the shutters and the eaves over the windows. We need a little bit more,
Maybe that dark brown trim that you have wants to kind of pick up what the color of the roof is, so that you're bringing 2 colors closer rather than introducing another color. That's just
you're
a
going to
suggestion.
end up hiding the fascia with the gutters. You need to show us a little bit more, please.
So there you
Yeah,
go.
Okay, I
sorry,
understand the
sorry.
board doesn't like that color, but we're just trying to keep with what was there and what the neighborhood already has.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to
I'm not-
change the look,
I'm
so to
not
speak.
convinced yet.
so
So
Okay.
some draft a motion, please.
Okay, I can make a motion. I'd like to continue this project back, consent or full board?
I think full board.
Okay, continue this back to the full board. Please just restudy your color choice and the size of the panels, the widths, also to know what that ridge line, how wide that's going to be, so that we can see that. We'd also like to see a better description or picture of what the color of the house is, so that we can compare that to the choice of metal roof that you make. Okay?
That's your motion?
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
second it.
All right, do I have, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Did you have another question, though?
Yeah.
We do have one question.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the owners just wants to make sure that they're working on the right colors. We don't want to keep coming back.
Right.
So it does sound like you are emphasizing more of a contrast, so more of a brown, similar to what is in the neighborhood, We're not talking red, green, purple.
No.
I want
Yeah.
to make sure that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you want to
Okay.
play off the
It's
color.
relative to the house color.
Right.
Forget about the other houses in the neighborhood,
It's a contrast.
otherwise, I mean, other than looking at how they perform a good contrast. That's what
Right.
we want to see you do. Tie
No, I
the,
just want to be clear
yeah.
for the client so that they knew.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another way of saying it is that what you showed us you haven't given me enough, you haven't given us enough information to convince us that this color works.
So how would we do that?
That's
That's our trick.
your
Just bring a paint
project.
sample of what's existing?
Yes. we'll get it.
They'll figure it out for you.
We'll get it for you.
You'll be good. All right, thank you very much.
And how soon can we
2 weeks. Next,
or next Monday?
meeting.
Oh, all right, all right.
2 weeks.
It depends.
all right, thank you. So our next project is 429 East Mitchell Terrena Street. Okay, this is an existing returning project, so you get minutes.
Hi, my name is Ivan Kojan.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good.
We get the
I
plans.
was
so-
listening, it's very educational.
Good.
You got to be like an artist, you know,
Yeah.
like Picasso or whatever it is. I mean, they have different colors, but they have to match. Yeah, I sure understand that.
So I'm going to have Lisa give us the minutes from our previous meeting, and then you can introduce yourself and tell us how you've addressed the minutes from the previous meeting.
Oh, the previous meeting was excellent. Yeah.
Okay, well, great.
Okay, so the minutes from
Very
that
fast.
excellent meeting are as follows. Number one, the board finds the overall aesthetics of the design appropriate. Change in the windows at the northeast elevation and southwest elevation are acceptable. Acceptable to convert the space previously occupied by the water heater to habitable space. Number four, the encroachment into the interior setback is acceptable. Number five, the minor zoning exception is acceptable. 6, the water heater should be framed with a wood enclosure to match the wood siding and the color of the house. Number 7, provide a scale on the site plan. And 8, provide details of the pop-out window on sheet 4. So really, we want to see the framed wood enclosure to match the existing wood siding for the water heater.
We haven't gotten that far yet. I mean, we have that. We're gonna do it, of course, yes, once we get the permit.
Well,
You need to show us.
so
Who does it, the architect?
Number 7.
provide a scale on, okay, let's go through this.
Let it make his presentation. I wanna see
Yeah,
how far he gets.
are you the owner?
Yes.
Oh, I see. So you're just, okay. So I think you need some help. The board finds the overall appropriate, the windows on the northeast and south is acceptable. The board, just 7 and 8, provide a scale on the, well, let's see, let's see if you provided a scale on the site plan. Okay, the scale is on the site plan.
Okay, check that off.
Okay, the water heater should be framed with a wood enclosure to match existing wood siding.
Yeah,
Okay, so here's the water heater.
yeah.
So let's see if there's an elevation. Location of existing water heater. Water heater cabinet walls enclosed with same existing house wood siding gasket door, so yes.
Okay.
The water heater, and the site plan, does it pop out? Turn it back to the site plan.
Sure. There.
Then the line should, looking at it, should have 2 lines right there, or don't have any. Nothing there.
Sorry, let me poke that. So here's just the water heater.
That's not, they don't match.
Okay.
Well,
Look
there's the-
on 201, number 4, there's a thing. New location for existing water
Yeah.
heater.
Right. we're
It
looking-
doesn't match site plan. Look at the site plan on the previous page, I think it is. fold it down, and show it like David, as Brian was doing.
Yeah.
If you look at the east, if you look at it from my angle right here, you will see,
You're saying that
Line.
closet should bump out.
you'll see a pump out or
I think that's supposed to be the outline of the water heater,
I'm not sure.
and those are the straps. Is that what that's supposed to represent? I think,
What's it say?
Yeah, because the house has straps like that.
well, yeah.
No, but this item,
What does this say?
It says location for water heater cabinet walls enclosed the same as existing house, wood siding, gasket door with vent. So it's not
It
drawn.
says it, but it is not drawn.
Right, exactly, yeah. So, there would,
Okay, I understand.
what is that, A4? No, A2.
there would be there'd probably be a line
Should have a line down there.
like that. And then,
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's what the site plan
Here's my
looks like.
architect.
He's $200 an hour.
So, is there north? Okay, so let's look at the south elevation, southeast. Okay, so oh yeah, okay, you didn't say it, right. What was that again, the, provide details of pop-out window on sheet 4. So sheet 4. Are your details of- Okay, all right. That would be these, that's the, yeah.
Can we see, Erica, can we see the previous drawing?
Yes.
Funny.
Oh, I didn't go that far because it didn't include it.
Put your thingy on.
Yep, I didn't know that. That's right, so we've now included a sheet. That's
Yeah, this sheet's new, okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to say you completed your presentation, so I'm going to bring it back to the board. Is there anyone in the audience wanting to speak about this project? Seeing no one come forward, were there any emails or communication?
No, Mr. Chair.
You're all my friends.
Perfect. So we'll bring it back to the board for questions. Any questions? Other than one? So I have a question. What is this little bracket down? I don't think, there's a little bracket cut off on the bottom here. I guess there is no
Where is it?
bracket.
Shows detail of bay window.
Yeah,
Where's the bay window?
big window, but on the.
9, 10, 8, 9, 10.
So I think they pulled it out of the, it's probably a typical thing you got out of the catalog,
Okay.
but, you know,
Yeah, well, that's
so
what
it's
it looks like.
whatever.
Okay.
All right. That's a question I have. Any other questions? Anyone have? That?
Well, I'm not seeing how this water heater enclosure is.
We played architect and we drew a line down there.
It sort of looks like
See, the
that.
description right here
Right,
is describing what is not drawn.
And that little
Okay.
funny thing is that water heater itself. I think they
Okay.
drew it in there.
What it needs is a line down on the right-hand side of those three little boxes, which looks, then it looks like what the elevation looks like
So I think it's worded correctly, but it's drawn incorrectly.
Okay.
on the elevation.
Okay.
Not on the site plan, it's not. On
Okay.
the site plan, it is not. It's drawn correctly on the site plan.
okay. But the way it's described, that's what we'd ask for.
Yeah. Yeah.
The description is there,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, it's just- Okay, hearing no more comments, they're here for, let's see, what are you here for? Final design approval?
The project design and final approval.
So we can either bring it back to the board for another round, or if you want to give it project design or final approval, that is an option. So who would like to make a motion?
I will make a motion.
Okay.
The board would like to give this project design and final approval with the comment that you make sure that you have drawn in the defining line on A2 0.1, right?
A201.
A201 that delineates the water heater closet
On the northeast elevation.
on the northeast elevation, and that we accept the request for the minor zoning exception to allow window alterations located within the required interior setback. This project complies with the NPO findings. It uses quality architecture and materials, is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. It has consistency and appearance, and follows good neighbor guidelines.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Did she say everything that needed to be said?
Yes.
Great. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Ayes have it. Got yourself a project.
Oh, you passed it?
You passed it.
Oh, great.
You're free.
I'll tell the architect about that line.
Yeah, you tell him. Yeah, boy.
Who's the architect? Who's the architect? Who's the architect?
That's a designer.
It's just a designer. Tell the designer.
Yeah, okay.
all
But
right.
she's very
I leave
good.
off
That-
lines.
That happens. Thank you very, very
Oh,
much
yeah,
for
you're
your
welcome.
time.
Mr. Chair.
You're right about what the next project will be. We need a permit.
Oh, that goes to the city. They'll take care of that.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yeah, and,
should I
yeah.
talk to them now?
Well, not now, probably, Eric, you can go back to the city tomorrow or after, or you can go straight in there now, I guess, if you
His
have.
name is Eric?
Erica is.
Erica. Oh, Erica.
lady.
Is that you, Erica? Oh, my goodness. Can I wait for you? Because
Well, she
I'm-
went-
You'll be waiting a long time.
Really?
She's busy for the next 3 hours.
He's
probably.
asking about applying for a permit, so what can you tell?
Yeah, I recommend it's a 10-day appeal period, but you can submit at risk for your building permit.
Yeah.
So,
Wait 10 days.
What do you need?
okay, so,
You'll have to,
That's a
it's a
mouthful.
separate submittal with the building department for your building permit.
I go now, because I'm from Los Angeles.
You
now.
can go and talk to them now
Yeah.
about the submittal requirements.
yeah,
Which department?
Building department, if you go right out down the hall there and to your left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hey, you got flying colors from here.
Oh, great.
They'll give you that.
Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay, now, let's see, we're at
I think we're just a few minutes ahead of schedule.
4:20,
Or-
so I'll give you a 5-minute break. Be back at
Oh, we're ahead of ourselves, huh?
4:07. Convening the Single Family Design Board. Our next project is, thank you, 102 Santa Rosa Place. I think, is there anyone here representing that project? Come forward, please. Nobody? I think.
I know they were planning on coming.
Are-
They told us they were all gonna be here.
They're outside.
I think since it was scheduled at 4:20, possibly
Maybe
they
they're probably just
weren't expecting it to.
4:20.
We're running early.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, let's wait.
It's supposed, they should be here. So should we go to the next project and come back to it, or not?
We can't start
Well,
the
you
next
can't start the next
project
project.
So
until.
we'll just have to wait.
Yeah.
So I apologize. I'm going to convene the, or.
So those times
Go.
are hard times. I thought they were just guideposts.
Well, they recommend you come 15 minutes early, because they tend to,
Because our scheduling isn't set in stone.
I don't want to convene them. I want to break the, what's the word I want to use? We'll come back at.
Adjourn.
We'll adjourn, thank you, at 4:20. So
Okay.
we're off again. Single Family Design Board. Project, it's 102 Santa Rosa Place. This is a continued item. Lisa, do we have minutes?
We do. Minutes from the following meeting are, the board has concerns about the south elevation facing Shoreline Drive. Study variable plate heights to lessen the bulk of the building. Number 2, consider lowering the west corner element of the whole structure in order to change the bulk of the building. 3, study the windows on the east elevation.
Thank you. Would you like to introduce yourselves and show us what you've done?
Clay Arell, architect, AB Design Studio.
Thank you.
Leonard Thomas, architect with AB Design Studio.
Thank you. Welcome. So let's see what you've done.
My stuff organized here, sorry.
Okay.
So let's dive in. Has everybody seen this before?
Yeah, it was last reviewed June of
I was there, I have not seen it.
You've seen it.
August.
I remember that you were there.
You even made the motion, Joe.
Did I make the motion?
Wow.
Refresh my memory.
Guilty.
Okay.
I'm getting younger every year.
Of course you are. So
Just real quick, so Shoreline Drive, Shoreline Park, Santa Rosa's here. The house is on the corner. Our property's on the corner. There's a small single-family residence on the property today, which is here and here. This is a property across Santa Rosa on Shoreline that was finished construction 4 or 5 years ago, I believe.
look at that.
Neighbor behind us. Come on. Neighbor to the north, you can see here on Santa Rosa. Is that too far away? Okay. All right. That's pretty much that. Existing site plan. So we have Shoreline Drive here and Santa Rosa here. There's an existing driveway cut off of Santa Rosa, which we will be keeping but expanding slightly. There are some palm trees out in the parkway, which we are not touching. There's a palm tree here, which we are removing, and lemon tree will get removed. This palm tree actually was already removed, so we've gone through the urban forester and the street tree, because it's inside the setback. You'll notice property line is here, comes along the back of the sidewalk on this side, but on this side we have a lot of real estate here in the right-of-way. That doesn't really impact us, but if we start talking about the property, we have a double front yard setback, right? Here and here.
Yeah.
So to address some of the prior comments, I'll get into that on our site plan, but it's a fairly constrained site once you put in all the requirements that we need, right? This is showing demolition and setbacks. We will be removing the entire existing home. So, as I was talking about setbacks, so we have a 20-foot setback, which is from the property line, not from here, right? So we've got quite a bit of what looks like a nice large corner lot is not actually based on the property line. We have a 20-foot setback on this side as well. So that starts to set up fundamentally the footprint of the home. And then if you take in, which is not clearly laid out on this plan, I thought it was, but this is effectively the 1,250 square feet of open yard space that we need. So you take that line and these lines here, and your building sort of does that automatically. So we do have a 6-foot setback on the east side, which we've pulled the house away from, just to provide more yard space. And I don't know what that was.
Cheese.
Lunch. The home effectively will have a single-story garage here, and this will be 2-story with a deck on both sides and a real see-through kind of feel of the house that both sides will open up. You'll see that on the floor plan. Now you remember? We are proposing a full basement underneath. So a couple things. We got a mechanical room. The home is in. The owner's very interested in doing what's that?
Geothermal.
Thank you. Geothermal, as well as solar. We're looking at the Tesla solar roof panels as a potential. But that's the kind of drive of the house. We want it to be as eco-friendly as we can. Floor plan. Again, I mentioned the deck, so there's a deck here and a deck here, and these doors open up on both sides, so it's very see-through. If you're sitting back here, you could see out to the channel. Kitchen with a small little deck off of it. Entry is going to be off of Shoreline now. It'll actually be readdressed at some point, but we'll be coming off here with the front door. Stairs go down and up. Pretty simple floor plan. Trash storage is here, outdoor surf shower, a couple other things, but those are pretty insignificant. The upstairs is fairly modest in size. It's got 3 bedrooms. The master's not very large. The closet, of course, is bigger. Yeah, you know. Fairly decent, you know, modest master bathroom, and then these 2 bedrooms with a Jack and Jill in between. So, roof plan. So we initially were considering going with a standing seam metal roof when we first came in. We're looking at the Tesla roof panels now to see if that can be an option for us. If we do that, then that would obviously change this. And we have, I think, some examples of that system. So the elevation here, this is the south elevation facing Shoreline, and the north elevation. The south elevation, we're really constrained on the size of the lot. So it is a 2-story house. It does have some variations. These pop out a little bit forward. We've lowered the plate heights a little bit and raised the ends and lowered the middle. So we're trying to vary that. There was a comment from a board member at the last hearing to maybe add a trellis or something like this along the front. So
the previous drawings?
I don't think we brought.
We'll have them. She'll have this. Eric will find them.
And then we've really just been working with windows and details and, so the idea would be there would be integrated planters in front of the house. This would plant up and vine across the front of here, thus breaking down that 2-story mass.
Okay. Let's just see what transpired since.
Sure.
So this is kind of what we had before.
Which one's south?
That's the south. Okay.
So we played around with these roof heights a little bit to give it some variation, but it's always gonna look funny in a flat 2D elevation, as we all know. So the windows changed, these changed down here a bit. This came up a little, that went down a little.
Okay, consider lowering the west corner element of the whole structure in order to change the bulk of the building. Did you do that?
Yeah, we considered it, but again, we're so constrained with our setbacks that we really can't lose the square footage and change the overall shape of the building there. That would be this corner, which is the master.
Okay. Study the windows on the east elevation. Did you do that?
Where are we? East elevation? That's the next page. There was a comment previously, one of the board members who's not here, just really around this window on this side. So we've altered it a little bit. We've added a couple windows up above in the bedroom. But there's not a lot of change to this side. This is east.
East, okay.
There's a new window down, or this window changed a little bit down below, and then these 2.
I think it's added a couple more windows.
Yeah.
Changes the size. That just looks more in keeping with the neighborhood than that. Sizable scale.
If the west had any major changes.
Better.
That's
Or
you,
not the
Joe.
comments yet.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
So we're here for concept review. We're going to, we're in the DART process, we're going to planning commission. So we're looking for favorable comments from this board to take us to PC for our CDP application. We've also brought some just elements of the design to discuss. So we're looking at steel doors and windows sort of in these, kind of in these locations and here. Here's kind of a palette of materials that we've been looking at with the owner. Nothing's set in stone yet, but that's the basic direction. Light colors, potentially a gray metal seam roof, or if we go in the Tesla direction, it'll be a little different. Some gas lamps and stuff that you see like here and here, around the building, and then basic roofing materials. So this is an early material palette for the project. We've done a preliminary landscaping plan, and again, this will go for some discussion. We put this together pretty quickly until we get a landscape architect on board, but just a basic palette of low ground covers, agaves and lavenders, and just, we've got this property line here, so we thought we could plant in the parkway a little bit to give a little bit of buffer up to the house and the deck, and then some clustering of plants and maybe some hedging on the back fence. But we're not landscape architects for sure, so we're just trying to get a preliminary idea out on the table.
What is ground cover?
Just low ground cover.
Nothing yet. Nothing.
I don't know if we really want to do. I don't know what we want to do there, to be honest. We are going to have to deal with tier 3, so we'll have to get that in eventually into the working plan on the swamp.
Wow.
So.
Okay. Is that your presentation?
Yes, sir.
All right. Bring it back to the board. We do have public comment. Let's see. We do have a speaker slip. Jeffrey Thomas Lovegreen, if you could come forward and speak at the podium.
Thomas Lovegreen, and the owner of the property at 106 Santa Rosa Place, the property on the north side of this site.
Okay.
The Castle House?
This one? Hold on there. She's waiting to turn the microphone on.
Good. Better? Right, that's correct.
This one here.
So we remodeled that house in 1993 and did a survey, obviously.
Yeah.
Dorothy Fox, the prior owner of this property, did 2 surveys in the late 90s. All of those were done with the marker that's in the sidewalk and the medallion in the center of the telephone pole. This survey, I chatted with them, placed their property line now 2.5 inches into my architectural stone structure, saying that it's a little further north than it was in those 3 prior surveys. So I kind of have a problem with that, is why wasn't that marker again used? Because they used another siting position in order to mark the property line. So my dispute is on that 2.5 inches, which does impact a stone architectural feature that would have to be modified because of that.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So how do I go about confirming that? Do I need to do another survey to confirm that? And are those markers not used anymore? Because another property that was torn down up the street and remodeled, that surveyor also found the property marker underneath the sidewalks, because the sidewalks were poured later after the homes were built over those markers, so you have to chip out the concrete. Mine is chipped out and still available for use, so it is easily located.
Okay, well, we'll get back to you and
Okay.
address that concern.
Very good, thanks.
So is that the only speaker slip we have?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Did we get any emails, notifications?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So I'm going to bring it back to the board for questions. Does anyone have any questions?
What is across the street? Do you have any photographs of across the street? The two houses up the street
This is also across.
on the far corner. Okay, then northwest corner.
Over
Okay.
here.
What scale? Architect scale.
On the other side of the house on Shoreline.
Shoreline. I'm just
East.
looking. I'm looking up here to see if I see it.
Sorry. You have an east.
I don't think I have it up there.
You got the northwest corner. Okay. What is number 9?
That's the house across the street, across Santa Rosa.
Number 8 is across Santa Rosa on the corner.
Same, yeah.
Or they're the same house?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's the same house, just a different shot.
Oh, I see. Okay, one. Sure, yes. Okay, I see it now.
The house to the east is a one-story home similar
Yeah.
to the house on our property, which is this one.
Okay. Okay. I have some comments. I'll wait. I'll get less questions.
Anyone else have any questions?
I don't have a question.
Jan?
I do. So, on the front, so I'm looking at A4.01. Are these planters that are on either side of the deck that are going to hold like wisteria or something that's going to grow up over that trellis
Bougainvillea
or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the idea.
Okay, nice.
That's on the south elevation you're looking at? Yeah.
Yeah, south elevation.
Okay.
So that's what's looking out towards the beach, so.
Okay, I have some questions. So one of the things that said on the minutes was consider lowering the west, let's see, the board consider elevates, study variable plate heights and lessen the bulk of the building plate heights. So plate heights here, the first floor plate height is 10 feet, correct? From finished floor to finished floor, is that right? So the ceiling in the first floor is 9 feet, and then the second floor is, so it looks like this part is 8 feet, and then these are 9 feet? Is that right?
Yeah.
'Cause, okay, you have 9'6" plate height for these, and then for the interior,
Slopes down.
this is 8 feet for here.
Yes.
That's the window head, so it's probably
A
around
little bit higher, a little higher than that.
maybe it's 8 foot.
So the ceiling height in the first floor is 9 feet. So essentially, there's been no change, right? Since last time it came.
There
Right.
hasn't been a lot. We pushed and pulled these up and down. We might have ended up back where we started, but
Okay.
we were going back and forth on plate heights for this roof and these roofs. But it did go through some gyrations.
Okay. Where's the south end? Okay. Consider lowering the west corner.
What's this?
That's the
So,
master bedroom.
just going by what was said. So it looks like the west corner was not lowered at all. Nothing was done, right?
That's correct.
Okay. All right.
We felt like the symmetry is working, and dropping this down would mean losing the bedroom, which probably wouldn't be a good idea.
Okay. Okay, those are my questions. Let's go to comments. Who has comments?
I like what you've done to the, I mean, the house is a house, all those houses should look out onto the view. They should, and you've got all this space in front of the house that can't be built on, You might as well put a deck there and put landscaping in there and use the deck for whatever else in the houses along there use it for, is to look out at the view and all the people around. And houses, this one next door, if it's a one-story, it's going to end up being a two-story pretty soon, most likely. And all the other ones are two-story. I like what you've done at the terrace. We asked, to reduce the size, bulk, and scale. That I think the terrace has done that. The lot's got a lot of restraints because it's made the lot's very narrow. You need your yard area, open area. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, this is what the deck used to look like. Yes, Lisa.
I feel that the bulk, as it reads from shoreline, is still too massive, and that it looks, from the south elevation, it looks too monolithic on the sides. That the west elevation, you improved the west elevation. Can we look at the elevation?
Yeah, right there. Right there.
Trying to get there.
One more.
West is here.
Yeah, the west elevation.
That's east. This is
Okay,
west.
the east and the west elevation, Rito, okay, but it's this, the proposed south that just looks too, the mass just reads as too large to me. And I don't think that you paid any, I know you didn't lower the corner as we asked you to do, and I don't think I can support it in its current state. And I'm also wondering how everyone else feels about, I think the idea of having a see-through, a look-through to utilize the view makes a lot of sense. I'm just not sure about the configuration of the windows in front of the deck.
What are you not sure about?
It looks like a garage door, just the way the panels read. It looks garage door-ish to me.
Okay. Robert?
I can see where, this is the first time I've seen this, so I wasn't present at the last meeting for this. I can see where the design of this house is kind of driven by a lot of the constraints that they're working with, and it seems to me that it kind of matches what's happening on the other side of the street.
On the northeast.
Yeah, on the other corner. I think they're kind of like, I could see those two homes in tandem of each other. I think the landscape plan needs to be studied because what the house that I'm describing that's on the corner has a pretty strong relationship with looking out onto the view, and I'm gathering that this is probably the same goal of this home. So I think, if anything, it's kind of minimal landscape to not block any of the view, but I think that your elevations could really be improved by incorporating some kind of vertical accent planting, whether it's palm trees or a small accent tree, because right now the elevations are reading as just kind of this large home, and I don't think that there's no landscape to really soften it, and I think that's really going to work benefit. So I would encourage the applicant to maybe consider how the landscape's going to help soften the appearance of this home. And also rendering, if you are going to put a picket fence, let's see what that looks like with the combination of the planting, because I think that the house on the corner there has kind of accomplished that well. And so the landscape, I think, is kind of a big part of this, and it's kind of a minimalist landscape in a sense. And so I think that starts to kind of read with how this house fits onto that corner. And I don't see it being in big conflict with what is in the neighborhood currently, so I kind of support it.
Jan, do you have any comments?
No.
So my comments is I kind of tend to go with Lisa. I feel it is a little too big for the house, the bulk of the building. The house is not compatible to the existing neighborhood. I mean, I know we have other buildings in that neighborhood that may have another similar look, but that's kind of the purpose of this review board, is to kind of take in concern about keeping size, bulk, and scale in an already established neighborhood. It looks to me, my impression is, Clay, that you did not change the lower of the plate heights. I don't know what the plate heights are of the house across the street that you're over there. I could compromise, I'd say match what those plate heights are, so they match. So if you can confirm what those plate heights are, I feel a little more comfortable, but right now I think your plate heights are a little too high for this already established neighborhood. So, like I said, the bulk is a critical thing here, and I just think for this is, considering how close it is to this house up here, it kind of overpowers the corner, my impression is. So I'd really like to see it kind of, the bulk being reduced a little more. I think a little more study in lowering the plate heights. Like I said, it kind of, my impression is, based on these minutes, is they were not really addressed. A little bit, but not as what the board was trying to look at in terms of the impact of the bulkiness of this building, because you're on a corner lot. So that's kind of my feeling at this time for this.
Can I respond?
No. Yes, of course you can.
Come on, Brian.
Of course you can. So I think we're done. So yeah, what would you like to say?
Well, look, the point of, it's really hard to evaluate a design when you're looking at a flat 2D elevation.
True.
We all know that as architects, right?
Yes.
So the big constraint on this property, and just to clarify, this is a one-story portion, and this is more than 30 feet away from that other structure. And
Yes.
we have quite a bit. If you're at sidewalk level to the house, so this house is pretty well set back away from the corner. Based on the program of the house and the footprint that we can work within, the only way to lower this corner would be to relocate something and push the building more towards the east.
Why?
Because we don't have anywhere to go. We're all hemmed in with our setbacks and our requirements.
Okay,
So
well, my question is, what does plate height have to do with this
the plate
floor
heights
plan?
plate heights are, I mean, I have a 9-foot ceiling in the ground floor. That's not that tall. I mean, especially in this location, that's
All
not
the
tall.
existing homes that were built there were 8 feet.
Yeah,
and
they're
they were
built in
now
the 50s
everything's
and they're all
rising. I
being
know.
replaced.
I know,
Well,
but
and what about, can I just interject?
course.
What about, I remember last time we talked about keeping that 9-foot plate height in your center area, your living room, your dining room, but then dropping it down a foot on either corner of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that just adds steps to the second floor. That doesn't seem to make a lot of
Not-
sense.
Not adding,
I don't
you're
understand.
not changing the floor pattern, just bringing your height down.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't feel like it's very tall. The house is barely 21 feet to the top of the ridge. I mean, it's definitely not pushing an enormous mass.
I think
Almost 23 feet.
I think also we're looking at size, bulk, and scale. We're still looking at what we looked at before,
yeah.
which is the north and south elevations. We like size, bulk, and scale works great for the east and west elevations because it's not very bulky. But all of a sudden, when I remember looking at this area and we proposed this trellis in here to try to bring it down. I think you can still bring the overall bulk and size of the house down by lowering.
Even if I lower that a
Just
foot,
let
it's
the
still
board
going to
talk.
be, it's
By
not gonna
lowering-
change much.
Leave that height there, in there, but lower the other heights. Lower the entry.
So he did lower this. It's got
This is
a
the
little,
first go-around.
yeah.
This is lower on your south elevation on the previous iteration than it is here?
No, this is lower. This is, What? This is lower.
No.
Well,
Be
or
careful.
this,
Don't compare height with the fact that the roofs are different heights.
well, this is the same. They raised the center of the roof. The center of the roof's higher now.
Okay, yeah.
It looks like it dropped down
Yeah.
between these two on the
And now it's higher.
previous iteration.
This
Or did they
ridge
lower
right
the
here is
outside
now
piece?
higher than it was.
Did they
on
lower the
that.
outside?
Right.
If these are the same.
Yeah.
So you basically made the house look
Question.
bigger
Did you
and more
lower
bulkier.
these?
No, this came down.
That came down? Well,
came
not
down.
on that elevation. I mean, you can look at that elevation, you look at this elevation.
Where's my scale? This came down.
So this
See, it
scale,
all came down a little bit. So
Everything came down.
that and that.
20, I scaled 23.
Here's the elevations written on the side right
Yeah,
there.
but look at the, it says
Well,
22 feet
Yeah,
6.
grade lines are a little different now because we got our topo in here, but
I was going by the finished floor.
this is the finished floor here.
So you have 22 feet 11 inches, but this scales from the finished floor the same thing, 23 feet, right? So,
What do we got from finished floor up to the ridge? Finished floor to the ridge. Here we have 2211.
I scale at 23 feet from ridge to finished floor.
So we've gone up almost a foot higher. Wherever it is, you've gone up a foot higher, which makes the house
It's not a
look
foot
bigger.
higher. It's not a
Please,
foot higher.
Clay, please, let the
But
board talk.
20,
This is not open to
22,
discussion.
11.
Please,
Just clarification. 22, 11, and 23 is not a foot higher.
Okay, thank you, but please don't talk, okay?
What is this over here? You said it was 22.
I said it was
Floor to
23. 23.
23.
23. It scales at 23. 21, 22, 23. Actually, it's scaling at 24, so I'm wrong. 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay, 23. Jesus.
And on this, it says 2211, so it's down.
It's almost exactly the same.
It's exactly the
I thought
same.
you said
Yeah.
24.
I'm wrong. 24 was not right. It's 23.
I would like to see it brought down to make it look, I like what you've done here, and I think it fits the neighborhood because we have a lot of second-story houses all along there, and the one across the street is two-story. But I still think because we have a long area here, a massive two-story building from east to west, and you did soften it with this trellis right here, but the height is still the same. You've played with this, and when we look at here, it looks like just the looks of it looks like this is taller now, where it wasn't before. It was here. So it's, yeah, I'd like to see it just brought down.
Okay.
Is the back, is this right at, the lot slopes towards the,
The lot is sloping both directions from the back corner, so
but
it's
it
sloping
slopes to
towards the
front,
beach.
to the ocean, yeah.
Yeah. That's what this grade
No,
line
we
is.
don't want to lower the house,
That's
we don't want to
the
lower the lot anymore.
No, we don't want to
keep
lower
it
the
up.
lot.
We want to keep it up at the height of the grade, and the house next
So
door.
we have a 10-foot plate, a 10-foot floor to floor, and a 9/6 plate, and you think that should go down to like 9 feet?
You brought,
Ideally, what I'd like to see, like this is your finished, yeah, no, this is good. I'm not going to say anymore, sorry.
to reduce the bulk of it, there's no reason why you can't bring the second floor down to even 8 foot, 8.6. There's no, I mean, your presentation of your house is your living room. And we're allowing you to keep that up there. But bedrooms, do you really need that massive height in your bedrooms? No, I don't think so.
Doesn't occur massive to me, but
Well, so,
make a motion.
yeah, so someone want to make a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please.
can I add?
Yeah.
So this project's here for comments only, and it also requires an administrative zoning exception for the overheight fence within 10 feet of the front lot line. So that's similar to the minor zoning exception, except it's a staff approval. And so if you could just provide comments in regards to the appropriateness of the fence height in the motion,
Where is
that
this
would be
fence
helpful.
height? Sorry.
Yeah, please show us.
Point it out.
Looks like it's on like the
On the
northeast.
east elevation, or east property line?
It's a northeast property
This
line.
is a fence
Property
line.
line, yeah.
It's an existing 8-foot.
It's
line.
identified on the
The
landscape
fence
plan.
we're talking about is a proposed 6-foot fence that wraps around the front lot line all the way to the
All
driveway.
around, yeah.
No,
So-
that's not accurate. That's not a 6-foot fence there.
On the landscape plan, it says 42-inch high split rail fence.
There you go.
Let's go to landscape plan.
Is there a missing keynote on the proposed site plan?
There's a low fence, like something like this,
Nice.
initially, that goes along here. It's not a 6-foot fence.
So
So that's on the landscape plan, but if you can flip back to the site plan, the proposed site plan.
okay.
I emailed the applicant about this about a
You
week
know,
ago.
we've been trying to clarify that for you. This is a fence proposed. Keynote 7 says new 6-foot high fence. This is an existing fence here. Then,
Which is 8 feet.
which is existing fence, which is here, which is 8 feet. There's a symbol for fence, which is our split rail fence that goes along here. And it is not ever called out anywhere as being 6-foot high or 8-foot high. It is the split rail, the low 42-inch high fence that we're showing you.
Okay.
So that's not, there's no need for an exception.
Yeah.
There's no MZE needed here.
Asked it again.
Okay.
Sorry, we don't know what.
Well, so I'm the planner. My name's Stephanie.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, please.
I had emailed the applicant asking for clarification about the keynote. I think it's keynote 6. It points to where the gate is.
Not used. 7.
It's wherever. Oh,
Note 7 is pointing to this fence right here. New 6-foot high wood fence right here.
18,
Right?
new gate. That one?
19, but 7. Here.
This is this fence wrapping around and going like this, and that's 10 feet off the property line.
So this is, but this says 6 feet.
Keynote 7 was the one I was asking about,
6-foot high
extending
wood fence.
beyond the gate along the northern interior property line, and then wrapping around the front lot line to the
Yeah, I think
driveway.
There's no indication on that lot. Come over here and, come over here.
I think
and
there's just been
point.
some confusion because
There's
this
nothing
little symbol
indicating.
for fence.
So please let her
isn't the-
explain what she's asking
So
for.
the keynote I was asking about was keynote 7 here,
Okay.
Yeah.
pointing to this fence here. But
Correct.
then it extends,
This fence.
it's the same lot line, or it's the same line type
Oh,
that goes
okay.
around here. And
Change
there's
the,
no separate keynote saying that anything past that
Drops
is
down to.
less than 6 feet. So I was assuming
change
it was 6
the
feet.
design of that line.
That's fair.
Yeah,
This is pointing to this fence, which continues here.
yeah.
Okay, but all of this,
That's not
The height
being,
needs to be
that's
called out.
not
It
being
implies- it
proposed as
implies-
6 foot high.
okay, but then the height at 3'6" needs to be called out, so it's clear.
That's easy enough.
Good.
But that would never be a 6 foot high fence.
Okay, so would someone draft a motion, please?
I'll try.
Thank you, Jeff.
I'll do this.
All right.
We would like you to come back 2 weeks if you'd like, definitely. And we would like to have the plate heights of the house reduced. Yeah, reduce the plate heights. You have already stated that landscaping will be forthcoming, so come up with some more landscaping. And somebody said something about the windows. Windows are fine. I'm trying to put a little bit of everybody in this proposal. Yeah, I indicated a little bit more solidly what the heights of the fences are, so planners are more aware of it. That's my proposal. Can't get any more different than that.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Do I have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
We've got one change.
Yes.
Play heights that indicate a change in the size, bulk, and scale of the house, not just move something down 2 inches or 4 inches. We're working for size, bulk, and scale of the north, especially the south elevation. Not too much of north elevation. If you can do this, but south elevation.
Okay, so can you, does the seconder, did we have a?
I seconded it.
Do you accept that change?
Sure.
Can we read the motion again? Thank you.
So the motion is to continue the project 2 weeks with the following comments. Reduce the plate heights that indicate a change in size, bulk, and scale of the house, especially on the south elevation. Provide a landscape plan. And it was made by Motisha and seconded by
Sorry,
James. Sorry.
Did you make a comment about clarification about the notation of the fence heights on the site plan?
I'll add that in. So clarify notation of fence heights on the site plan.
Perfect. Okay, that was the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Ayes have it. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Just want to go on record.
Pardon?
All right. Okay.
Okay, it's, well, we're right on, oh, you're leaving.
I gotta leave.
Oh my God. Well, good luck on your project. Okay, 1402 Grand Avenue. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Rochelle.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Okay.
Been a while.
You want your color book? Do you want to keep that?
Okay, this is, I think I took it. I'm sorry. It's
Keep
out of
coming up
control.
with different architects.
What was it?
We keep coming up with different presenters for this project that's been going on for years.
Oh, well, this is going to be different.
This is going to be different. They're all different. They're all different. They're all different.
Well, let me know when you want me to start, and I'll tell you why it's going to be different.
Let us read something first.
Okay, this is a continued item, so I wait till,
This is a new item.
New
it's a new item?
Yeah, we've seen it. We've heard it
Oh,
a
it's
lot
a
of
new item.
times.
Okay.
We've heard it a lot of times, but this
All
is
right.
new.
Okay. I get your point. Okay, so this,
It's old, but it's new.
it's like toothpaste. Okay. This is a new item. I'm going to read it into the record. It's 1402 Grand Avenue. Proposal to construct a new 686 square foot detached two-car garage on a lot with an existing 2,765 square foot single unit residence. The project will address violations and enforcement case ENF 2016-00296. Project requires a substantial conformance determination from the Community Development Director. The proposed total of 3,217 square foot of development on a 129,849 square foot lot in the Hillside Design District is 53% of the guidelines maximum floor to lot area ratio. No final appealable action will be taken at this hearing. Project requires neighborhood preservation, hillside design, and slope lot findings. Welcome. So introduce yourself and show you your project.
I'm Rochelle Mayland, and this project is why I say that it's new but it's old, is that I originally worked for the previous owner of the property, and we did a lot line adjustment between two parcels. And prior to that, there was just a narrow area that you couldn't, there was no area for a garage or anything else, and actually the client had been injured helping somebody back up and actually ended his medical career as a result. So there was a little controversy with the neighbor, one neighbor who didn't want the lot line adjustment to go through, but we did achieve it. And part of that lot line adjustment requirement was to provide a garage, covered parking. So that's how you get the enforcement case, which relates to this. But anyway, so on the lot line adjustment, we went through design review, single-family design review, and they approved the design of the garage. And a neighbor appealed it, and then we ended up having to take the project to city council. And the city council approved the project 0-6 in favor of the garage. So this is that garage, although I've stretched it, made it a little bit longer. The reason why I made it longer is that at one point there was on 860 Jimeno, there was a very large old oak tree. It has since died and has been removed. We couldn't make the garage longer at that time because of the critical root zone. So that doesn't apply at this point.
Yeah, the oak tree that was on that.
Yeah, it was right here.
Okay.
And so it was the radius, the critical root zone was right in here. So, and then when you look at the topo, you know, there's quite a bit of a drop off here. And then we have a 10-foot side setback. So we're restricted from going further this way, and we didn't want to go any further this way because of a contentious neighbor over here. So we actually kept it further away, trying to appease and be considerate toward that person. So when I say it's new, it's old. So this was approved originally. Like I said, I did stretch it, but the design of it, the look of it is the same.
Okay.
And part of why we, of course, made it longer is that because we can barely, you know, your minimum is the 20 by 20 for a two-car garage. Width-wise, we can barely fit that in before we start going too far down the ravine. So, you know, the client is married, has 2 young children. He said, is there any way we can make it longer so I can store some toys and bicycles and, you know, kayaks, some other things of that sort, of that nature. And because it's such a limited lot, and it has, in some areas it's 46% drop. It's a 5-acre parcel.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, so you see that there. And so this is one of the few flat areas that's workable, and so it only makes sense to, you know, elongate it and allow the client to have some storage. I think that's only reasonable. So that's the only change in our design.
Okay, so that's your, this, you want to kind of, so this shows where the garage is going to be. This is this site area.
Correct.
Garage location.
Yeah, this is from the end of Grand Avenue. As you can see from this, here's the end of Grand Avenue, and the driveway's like 689 feet long. So this isn't seen from any public road, really. And then, of course, it goes uphill. This is Ligura Place is up here, and this parcel up here goes up. So it sits down below those houses.
Okay. All right, thank you. Is that your presentation?
That's my presentation.
Yeah.
I think, actually, and I do have this, I think I have this in here too, but he has a shed, storage shed on the property right now. And this is more or less almost the location of what the garage would be.
Got it.
There.
So, yep.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So bring it back to the board. I've got speaker slips. Did we get any emails or correspondence? I think we did
get some emails.
Item number 6. We got a letter from Jeff and Bruna Byrne. We are homeowners living at 2121 Las Tunas Road.
Mr. Chair, it's item 5.
We're just in 5.
We're on item 5.
Just 5.
Okay, sorry.
No, we did get a.
We did. I will read the right letter.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of me finding the right one. This is a letter from Mike and Linda Cahill saying there was a garage in why that failed to start. It's a, oh gosh. After a brief review of the applicant's submission, February 18th, is a pleasant design. However, it bears no resemblance to the flat-roofed residence, the principal location of the principal building on the property. Is this going to be a piecemeal project? The public may be denied input of the further development of this 5 plus acre property, and the garage design effectively will set a precedent. There was an approved design that incorporated the garage into the design of the residence. Why did the applicant fail to start construction on the approved design? Kind of explain that. There are down lower and next to the resident built sites appropriate for a garage, and there is a frequently used road leading to the residence. This road and another have been used almost from the beginning of ownership to build entertainment areas and by laborers to haul rock out of the two canyons, bring them to the house, and ship for use in property for walls, etc. Next, the second time around, Mrs. Mayland has submitted a garage at the bottom, at the location as represented in the plans. The first time she stated that SFDB there were no negative impacts to the 810 Laguna property, as there were only 2 small bathroom windows on the side of the home closet to the build site. She presented to the board photos of proof. One great big problem, the photos were taken behind then existing oak tree, and the angle of the photos had the trunk and the tree obscuring. A floor-to-ceiling glass sliders in our living room that looked directly onto the building site. I consider this very dishonest act that intentionally created a false and misleading idea to the board members. In addition, I brought to city staff 2 surveys, one of 1971 and of the original subdivision. The second survey was more recent, one that pinpointed the spot where the lot line adjustment for 850 Amino Road and 1402 Grand meets the 810 Laguna Place property line. I believe the position of the proposed garage intrudes into the setbacks. Two city staff members believe this may be fact. Finally, if the board, in its wisdom, deems the design and location appropriate, I respectfully request a condition of approval that the site be excavated such that the top of the roof of the garage not exceed the height of the chain link fence that separates 1402 Grand Avenue and 810 Laguna Place properties. Laguna, thank you. I feel it would be rude and insensitive to inhibit the view of the 43 residents when the applicant enjoys an unobstructed view of our beautiful city, Ocean Islands, and down the coastline, 40 miles. Respectfully, Mike and Linda Cahill. So that was the letter. Okay. And now we have some speaker slips. Anna Campbell, are you here? If you'd like to come and speak at the podium, and you have 2 minutes to speak, right over here. Yes, please. And your seating time, and Bernard Unterman is seating time to you?
Yeah, we had to leave. We were here for quite a while.
So you have 4 minutes?
Yes, this property has quite a history, and
Who is she?
Oh, could you introduce
my
yourself,
name
please?
is, yes, hi, my name is Anna Campbell, and my husband and I own the property that's just south of that property and downhill from it. And we have about 4 acres of land.
You're off of Victoria.
That's right. We're off the end of East Victoria Street.
Okay.
And they're off of Grand, but our properties connect. And there's a chain link fence that they put up between our properties.
I don't see Victoria. I don't have it. Whatever.
Okay, and my concern is that they have done extensive grading on the property without permits. The main part of this grading started in 2013, and it has continued along with building rock walls intermittently. And what happened when they built a large road that kind of surrounds the property and goes right beside our fence, right next to one of our houses. And our main concern is that when they were doing all this grading, they were dumping the rocks and the dirt into the creek bed, and that's never been mitigated. And the last time that this property had a hearing that I knew of was I believe it was before the ABR in this room.
Yeah.
And we brought the creek, they raised the level of the creek about 3 feet down to the fence that divides our properties. which caused the creek to go out of its normal channel and closer to our houses. We would just like them to go and dredge out the rocks and dirt and pieces of trees that were dumped into the creek, and have been when they've been grading on the property. And because we're worried about flooding, to have this loose debris. The creek was on the same level on the two properties when you cross the fence, and now as soon as you reach the fence, it's 3 feet higher, and the creek, it basically stopped the creek, almost damming it. But in these last rains, the creek has found its way around partially. But I would just like to see that taken care of before they do another building project. We've been there. The city did issue a stop work order on the building of the roads, but then without us knowing it, the city closed the. They were going to fine them $3,000, and they didn't do it, and the city closed that issue. So, however, when we were with the ABR, the ABR said, well, they couldn't really. Their purview was really with the design of the house and the garage, but they did ask the applicant if they would work with us and work on the creek, and they agreed that they would, and they just haven't done it, and we just like to see it done. It's probably about 1 day's work or less with a bulldozer and several days' work with people doing it. I guess that's about it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we'll try to address your issue. Remind me, so okay. Let's see. Michael Cahill and Linda P. Cahill?
That's the letter we read.
That's the letter we read.
Well, they got a pink slip or yellow slip too. Yes. So.
Yes, my name is Mike Cahill, and I'm representing my wife also.
Yes.
So I could, Dr. Campbell's concerns are really quite legitimate. The principal thing that is kind of aggravating here is that instead of putting in a flat roof garage, submitting that as a design, which parallels the main house, you put a hip roof right in front of some of our windows. Now, our view as we look out towards the west, I guess it is, towards Hope Ranch, we'll be looking right from our living room, we'll be looking right at this thing, the back end of this garage. But I also am concerned about the accuracy of the information that's being submitted to you in terms of lot lines and setbacks and whatnot, because in my measuring, that garage is not going to fit in that site with the proper setbacks without the south end of it probably hanging over the hill, supported by nothing more than thin air. It just, I think if there's a site visit, you would see what I'm talking about. I put up a tall white pole that is set at the setback, and I believe the setback is 10 feet. If it's 15, it's set at 10. And there's that prefab building that's there, and
it's located across there.
And this white pole, it just cuts right through the middle of it. I mean, visually. So there's something goofy, and at least two staff members, when I submitted the original division plan, the survey, and then the more current plan that showed the lot line change, and where that met the my property, which is the 810 Largura Place. There's something wrong here. It's just the staff members think that this is.
Time is up. Could you please wrap it up?
Okay. The only thing I had was this, which was a.
You want to bring it to the table so I can look at it?
Dr. Campbell made reference to the road that.
Let's bring it over here so I can put it under the camera.
Let's see here. And there's some pictures in here that shows you a little bit about the severity of the drop. Let's see here if I got it.
Oh, it's hard to see, but where's the, show us where
your property.
The house is right here.
Right there, and the garage is going, right here?
It would be going right in here.
Oh, right there, there's that
Right
building,
here.
there's that little temporary building right there, right? Okay.
This is the house there.
It's not
Correct.
here. Yeah, see,
Correct.
all this, the vegetation, this is so old that a lot of this vegetation is gone.
Well, that doesn't matter, we're
Okay.
concerned with where the location of the garage, and where your house is here?
Right here.
His house is here.
Right here, okay.
And so we have, our living room is here,
Where is your living room?
right in this part, right here.
In this
And-
corner here, right here?
Yes,
No.
No, it's over here.
What's over here?
right here. And we have a floor-to-ceiling slider here that looks out, right here.
So your living room is the whole end of the house here?
No. It's this here, but there's the slider looks, the roof covers a deck. And it looks out,
That's okay.
That's all right, that's all right, that's all right.
I think I got the message. Are you,
Yeah.
Guillaume? Okay.
so,
All right, thank you.
all right,
I got your point. We're clear.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, appreciate it.
But the real point is here, is that there's a road that comes down, you can't see it because this is so old it doesn't show it, but it comes right down into this area right here. We think that the garage makes more sense being connected to the house down here. And this road is used quite regularly, as Dr. Campbell was saying.
Okay.
I think they proposed the garage where they'd like to have it.
Okay, let's leave it to, thank you for your input.
Oh, okay.
Let me see, this is what you're proposing, this is the garage. Right here.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Is there any more communication? I think that's it with speaker slips, so I'm going to bring it back to the board. Who has questions? Anyone have any questions? I don't hear anyone having any questions, so I'll go to comments. Who has comments? So,
I have a question.
now you have a question.
Can I have a question?
Sure.
I'm trying to, I used to own a house at the east end of Grand Avenue. In other words, it's sitting right there. And anything that looks from the garage, which is going in right here, house is there.
I actually have some questions.
No, I pass. I don't have a question.
I have a
Just-
Go
question,
ahead,
really
Jen.
quick. So this garage is going to be 13 feet high?
That's at the highest.
at the peak of the
At the
roof.
ridge.
Now, is this what kind of stone were you going
Santa Barbara sandstone.
to, so,
There's a lot of it on site.
and then a slate roof? First off, let me address some of the concerns, like the grading and stuff. Are you like under tier 1 or 2 or 3? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I think it's going to be tier 2,
Tier
I
2.
believe.
The purview of this board is more for the aesthetic and the size, bulk, and scale. So that kind of issue needs to be brought, I think, with the city to make sure that or the Creeks division, yeah, regarding clean, making sure that the water flow is up to date and appropriate for the property. So, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I can clarify,
Yeah.
this will be a tier 3 project because it's over 500 square feet of new impervious surfaces in the Hillside Design District. And then as part of the completeness review, we will be looking at the previously approved plans, and this will require a substantial conformance determination from staff. So we'll be looking for comments from you in regards to the appropriateness of this new proposed design for the covered parking.
Are you looking for comments also in terms of the drainage and how the creeks are going to be restored or whatever?
That will, you'll have to review the plans prior to final approval, like all tier 3 projects.
Okay.
May I say
Well,
something?
let me quickly say something.
Okay.
Tier 3 is the most stringent in terms of the water flow, and the client is required to set up a system where during a 50-year storm event that the property retains that amount of water. So it's quite a complicated and involved procedure. So I think there'll be a lot of what you're concerned about is going to be addressed in that when they have to get that approved. So that's the only thing I can comment about that.
When we went to the ABR, they also said it wasn't their permit. And so you're saying go through the creeks? Is there a creeks division or creeks commission?
Yeah, well, the drainage, you can keep track of the evolution of the plans as it goes through the permitting process, but yeah, they'll be addressing that, and we're going to be reviewing it. So they'll be coming back for a more review, and you can probably come back with a follow-up for that.
Okay, good. And so they were addressed.
Yes, yes. So my other comment is, I think it's cute, and I don't see it as a visual impact. It's a one-story building, and the highest point is 13 feet. What is your take?
I'd have to go up there, and I've always looked east from there. I haven't looked west. I haven't stood up at the corner of Segura, what's the street? Ligura. I knew Mr. Ligura when he was alive in the 80s, and owned the whole property. And I've been through the house, and it's been remodeled several times. But you're putting a garage right where
a garage should be.
Right where a garage should be. Yes. There used to be a garage on the property, which was just northwest. Yes, as you came up that long road off the end of Grand, before you got to the house, there used to be a garage right there, and it's set up right to the right of the, I think they probably made a little guest house into it.
Oh, I'm not sure there's a health room. I know when
Mr.
over here.
Right here. This was, I think this was the garage.
But it's like on a cliff. And
I know.
The roof, it's a rooftop deck. There's no way you would have been able to park into it. But I know when Mr.
What's this structure right here?
Oh, that's just a
a
hatch.
bridge.
It's just hatching. This is the road.
Just hatching, okay.
But I know
there
when
is
Mr. Drevel purchased the property back in, I want to say the, anyway, the late 90s or mid 90s, the house was actually condemned by the city of Santa Barbara. And I have photos of it, how it looked then. It was really an eyesore, pink, blue, 5 different types of siding. The gentleman actually went insane and was institutionalized, and it showed on the house. And the city had condemned it. So Mr. Drevo had done a lot of work to it. And if you saw the befores and after, you'd be amazed at the difference. And he had some plans at some point to maybe put a slight pitch on a roof because it's more aesthetically pleasing, which is what the other board had thought as well. It's just more aesthetic than just a flat roof. Mm-hmm. And this is a very nice upscale neighborhood in general. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So
I don't, see, it needs a garage, should have a garage. That's the best place for the garage. And we can't sit here and say, hey, because somebody proposes, we're not in the, our board doesn't cover private views. So if somebody is blocking your view, it's not for our board to say yes or no, that you can or you can't. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I think it's an
Lisa?
appropriate place.
You have something?
Oh,
Or you sound like you were going to say something.
no, I don't.
Yeah, my feeling too is, to follow up with Joe, is you've already got a driveway here. This seems like an appropriate location. I think you're sensitive to that.
As far as view from your house, you got the. I'm guessing, but tell me if I'm wrong. I think they're just taking out the last 5% before you hit the mountain, before you hit everything that's there, before you turn to the right.
You're talking about my view?
Yes, I'm looking straight at you.
I'm looking to the east, I guess.
You're looking to the west.
West, is it west?
West.
Okay.
Yes, but they're obstructing your last few degrees of that full 180-degree view that you have up there. Tell me if I'm wrong, but you have a full.
Don't have them tell you if you're.
Okay.
I don't want a discussion.
Okay, all right.
Let's
No,
just go back.
I'm-
Someone make a motion, please.
This is for
Please,
comments?
please, yes.
Okay,
let's
so this
stick-
is for comments
Yes,
only, right?
yes, thank you.
And so I'd like to make the comment that the design of the garage is nice and it is consistent with our city's scenic characteristics. And I know that you, because of the size of this, you will have to comply with Tier 3 stormwater management, which will make sure that that creek is sufficient and cleaned out. And
Thank you.
and that's it.
Would you like to make a motion?
That was my
That
motion.
was the
I said
motion.
this is my motion.
Okay.
Positive
Second.
comments,
Right.
and that was it, because we can't, it's not design approval or anything else, it's
Right, so you
comments
made
only.
comments. Got it. Thank you very
And I
much.
second.
And second, okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so looking forward to seeing you come back. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all right, I
Yeah.
didn't.
For your reference, the road goes to a septic system down on the lower area, and I actually got a permit from the city to do a road improvement so the client could do his fire abatement because it's a large parcel,
Okay.
steep grades, just for your reference.
Thank you.
When was,
Okay.
when was this road access off of
Oh, I know when that was. That was
21 Las Tunas
1963.
Road. Could you please forward?
closed in 63?
Okay, thank you.
In 1963, Lagura Place was installed off of Meadow Road. It didn't exist prior to that.
But since, well, even right now, there's a driveway
Okay,
down
so
there.
please,
Can we-
will you
Can I
stop
say
discussion? Close it, it's the, yeah,
We
please.
can talk later, but I
Yes, thank
think you're
you.
thinking of a different house,
No,
which was Lagura's.
Thank you. So this is,
Thank you so much.
yeah, you're welcome. We're at 2121 Las Tunas. This is a pre-application review, so this is a new item, so I'm going to read it into the record. This is a one-time pre-application consultation requested for a new 4,364 square foot single-unit residence on a vacant lot with an attached 670 square foot two-car garage, covered porch, and pergola. The proposed residence includes 2,225 square foot on the main floor, 334 square feet on a service area, 1,170 square feet of basement area, and 635 square feet of upper floor area. Project also includes construction of a new 12,000 square foot permeable driveway. The proposed total of 3,947 square feet of development, of which 50% of the basement and service area is excluded from the calculation on a 44,950 square foot lot in the Hillside Design District, is 79% of the guideline floor to lot area ratio. So this is a one-time application of consultation, No final appeal action will be taken at this meeting or hearing. So show us what you're doing.
So I'm Tom Henson, Becker Henson.
Yes,
Nixdale
introduce yourself.
Architects.
Tom.
Jacob Nixdale's with me.
Margie.
Grace Design Associates Landscaping.
Hi.
Hi.
And I'm Eva Turenchuk. I'm the land use consultant.
And I'm Erin Labuda, civil engineer with Flowers and Associates.
Welcome. All right.
So this property is still in escrow.
Okay.
It's been very challenging. The first challenge was fire department access.
Yeah.
The fire department said they weren't comfortable fighting the fire from the road below, and they wanted a driveway to come up all the way to, so they can get within 150 feet of the furthest corner of the house from the same level as the house. So are the potential owners and our clients are also in escrow for this property, just to get a driveway.
Wow, okay.
And the fire department, we physically can't get a turnaround without having an enormous retaining wall that nobody wants to look at. So the fire department agreed to back up less than 300 feet and exit this way. So basically it's a one-story house with a walkout basement on the downhill side and a second floor above the garage on the uphill side. So even though it's a very steep lot, you're never really aware of too much house. This is this upper line is the 30-foot maximum height, which is the law. The recommended is 25 feet maximum height, so we're well under that. The house really only fits here. There's a beautiful oak grove starting right here. We had Peter Wynn come and look at it, and he's happy with everything we're doing. The owners love the oak grove. You can walk out from almost any room on this side of the house into the grove. Nice views this way, nice views this way. These neighbors have views this way. Basically, this is the optimal spot. So, this is the main floor. It's broken into little pieces. Almost every room reads as a piece. The idea is a Spanish hill town, and quaint and charming and friendly. And so on the first floor, we just have one living kitchen. This is mostly underground, laundry, little stair to go up to the second floor in the garage. And then library, yep, and now high, medium, low. Master bedroom, master bathroom. Pergola on the arbor to break up. And this is the lower level, so it's a little sitting room and then 2 guest bedrooms with bathrooms.
This is underneath the master bedroom.
That's underneath the master bedroom, yeah. Library.
Yeah.
And then this is above the garage. And it's set back from the garage, and we have a partial roof to break up the mass. So this is the hinge. You go up. There's an exercise room here that goes out to the oak grove, and then a guest bedroom here and bathroom. It's basically a 4-bedroom house. So that's the house. They have a pergola. This is a stone wall. The stone didn't read very dark, but there's stone everywhere, and we're going to use the stone, and Margie can talk about it later too. On the driveway, we don't want walls, we want boulders and everything to be really natural. So the house is kinked to follow the topography, so this faces more due west, and that faces southwest. And this is inside the motor court. It's the garage. The first leg of the motor court, the second leg with the front door that heads out toward the view. We've got the exercise room 2-story part, which comes back around to this. These are site sections in addition to this section. I think the owners met with most of the neighbors, and one neighbor wanted to see how their house looked.
Yeah.
And that's what that is.
Okay.
And this is landscaping.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we're at,
Quickly, the city's records didn't agree with the official survey. The city says that we are 43,000 square feet, but the survey says we're 58,000 square feet. So we're actually 76% of max FAR, and that's with one lot. And if you take both lots, because this lot's not going to be developed, we're 65% of max FAR.
Okay.
So we're way under on FAR and we're under on height. Now,
okay, so we're at the conceptual stage, obviously. What we looked at is on the architectural plan, the engineer shows a 4 to 5, sure. Give me ideas.
Yeah, of course it
So,
does.
Brian knows this, step back. So on the architectural plan, we're seeing, built retaining walls along here that run 4 to 5 feet high, are shown on the architect's plan. And we look at cutting this instead of, vertical, so the shaded area would be cut to less than or not to exceed 1-to-1 slope. And boulders would be added in there as needed for retention and also for decorative naturalistic effect. And those would all be cited by me. And this property is already dotted with big old boulders, right? This is a huge patch of sort of runaway euphorbia here, huge patch of beavertail cactus here. Those all stay. The idea is that this stays, really the only thing that happens is a driveway runs through it. And it's set in such a way with a little bit of higher screening here and this cutback that we've got. We really don't even read the driveway from anywhere because we don't have any of these vertical walls. And we'll, as we set boulders, we'll be careful not to sort of exaggerate any sort of lineation in through here. This also works very well for keeping our fire truck access available and open. Same thing happens here as this shows, this is delete the 6-foot high retaining wall here. And again, just do a cut versus a vertical retaining wall and do the boulder pile thing as needed. And maintain, our batter as well as our total height. Then the other thing that comes into play here is we want to see. So really, literally, this is left as is, more or less. A little grooming here, a little grooming there to make sure that a few shrubs are healthy and whatnot. And we want to, again, you don't see this driveway from anywhere else, but as we come down, we get peekaboo out to views. This is our oak woodland area. It's basically left the way that it is, other than fire management, tree health, structure safety. So you see this is the edge of paving here. You see this is the center line of the road bed or right of way, and you see this right of way line along here, and you also see a slope line here. So this road cut here is pretty steep. I put these contours at 5 feet, just showing the 5-foot contours, and the idea would be to nobody really sees this house and they don't really see the other houses. Now, there's something to work out inside of how vegetation is massed, so the fire department's happy, and in the choice of screening material. But you'll see on this very first, the same section that you saw in Tom's. Here's that section, and you can see that as you get down here, here's the car at the roadway. And if we get vegetation that's, this is a 15-foot high line, we'll be able to preserve views over. But as you look up the slope, this house will mostly be in the shadow, if you will, of the view shadow of that. So and then the plan here is really literally not very much. What's up there right now basically gets weed whacked once a year for fire management. And then what we do here, where we have sort of our tallest walls, is we
we step them back. We've got trees on the middle height. We build in front of them. This isn't retaining, this is a planter bed. So we soften that not by climbing vines, which are fuel ladders, but by, smartly placed planter beds.
Very nice.
Everything's drip. What else is there to say? Smart fire, smart water, smart maintenance, smart fire, because that's where we live.
Smart.
Native plantings, etc.
Anything you guys like to add?
Aaron's here in case there are questions regarding driveway or
Okay.
fire department or.
All right. Did we get any, didn't we get a letter, correspondence?
Yes.
Okay, this is item 6, right? So I'm doing this right?
Wow.
No, we're not item 5. We're 6. Ladies and the owners of property of 2175 Las Tunas Road, write this letter in support of this conceptual home and landscaping design for the property at 2121 Las Tunas Road. That property is adjacent to and immediately to the west of our property. The purchasers are graciously approached us and several of our other neighbors to share their plans for the 2 parcels. Those plans included building on the upper portion of the most distant parcel and limiting construction on the intervening parcel, the driveway access, and open space. The open space and large boulders and natural terrain provide a signature landscape for the Las Tunas neighborhood, and the Blum's plans are sensitively designed to preserve the feel and natural terrain and landscaping. The size and design of the house was equally sensitive in minimizing to size, bulk, and scale. So that's a very supportive letter. Okay, we got a letter from Dahlia A. Smith. To whom it may concern, my home is located directly across from the westerly edge of proposed project at 2100 Las Tunas Road. My concern regards the stability of the hillside across the road and the proximity of the proposed residence to the edge of that hillside dropping down to Las Tunas Road. I understand that stabilizing devices will be sunk to protect the new residents from ground slippage. My fear is that the construction process, including sinking the stabilizers, will destabilize the area of the hillside directly opposite my driveway and above my home, leaving it vulnerable to large sandstone boulders that could roll down onto my property and through my buildings. Should we be blessed with heavy rainfall, there would be an increased likelihood of mud flow across the road, threatening inundation of my home and harm the oak woodland it sits in. I believe the lot is suited better for a more southerly location toward the center of the property, still affording the owners a stunning view of the coast. We would be less likely, in my opinion, to destabilize. It would be most likely, in my opinion, to destabilize the hillside. Okay. And we got a letter from Jeff and Bruna Byrne. We are the homeowners that live in 2121 Las Tunas Road and recently received a card for the public hearing on the proposed construction. We have 2 questions that we would like to have addressed during the hearing. 1, what steps does the property owner plan to take to mitigate dust during the course of construction, including dust from contractors' vehicles that will be traveling up and down the driveway between Las Tunas and the construction site? 2, given the steep slope on which the 2 parcels are located, how does the homeowner plan to prevent soil erosion during the construction phase and beyond, both in the area where the home will be built and below the long driveway that will extend from Las Tunas Road up to the home? Will the drainage system be built along the upper edge of Las Tunas Road to carry water and other debris down to a city drain or other catchment point? Okay, so file those questions. And then we got a speaker slip from Craig H. Inslee. Would you like to come up and speak, please? You have 2 minutes. Stand at the podium, please.
Thank you very much. Actually, this is the first time I've attended one of these, so
welcome.
Thank you. Hopefully we've set up the couple of questions here in an appropriate way. So my wife and I are very supportive of the project. We think that the overall appearance and fitting into the neighborhood conceptually looks very good, as the first letter you wrote indicated. And since it's still in escrow, the proposed owner, Jonathan Blum and his wife, have been very gracious about outreach to the neighbors to try and come up with, or to get input to get it to this point already, and to come up with an approach that preserves the privacy and the the views of the existing neighbors. And we can only speak for ourselves in that regard, but it has the appearance that they've worked really hard to take the neighbors into account. I guess our support would be contingent, though, on clarification of a couple things where the drawings that were put online by the city are really hard for us to interpret because we're not professionals in this, in this area. Number one, it would be helpful if there's a reasonable way to put up story poles, and by reasonable I mean cost-effective. I guess those things can be quite expensive, but maybe there's a more affordable way to do it. But it's hard to visualize from our house what the contour lines really represent. If you look at the structure, our home is 2055 Las Tunas, immediately, and the architect, Mr.
This one.
Yeah, Mr. Henson. Yeah, that's our home right there. So we're the closest proximity, and it's just hard to envision. So actually this afternoon, he's already generated this document that he's just put up that we haven't seen a copy of it yet until just now. Okay. But understanding story poles so you can visualize it better, this section drawing is very helpful if we can, verify that. The third item is the proposed garage is the closest proximity to our house. And we understand the Blooms are open to staking both the property line and the back of the proposed structure so that we could visualize exactly where that would be. The fourth item is...
2 minutes is up, so can you kind of wrap it up?
Yeah, sure. The fourth item is if there's a technical geological report that we'd appreciate getting comfortable with their view, their opinion that the excavations would not create the likelihood of slides and their expectations that caissons are not necessary. And then finally, I think we're real pleased that the southern area has no development on it, and we would hope that the city appreciates that too, because I think that's critical to maintaining the overall feel in the neighborhood.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so we'll bring it back to the board. Does anyone have any questions? I do.
North is straight that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, straight up. Mm-hmm.
We're here to only give them comments. It's a one-time pre-application. So you basically want to get our input, like our feelings for it, so
They
that.
want to know if I buy this lot, can I build this house?
Got it. Got it. Now I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. And would you mind paying for it?
Yeah, right. I
And
gotta
I'd
go
like the
now.
answer right now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Joe, question.
No, I don't have any questions.
All right.
I think we're at a point where I haven't seen enough and haven't, but I like it. That's a comment. I made a comment. I can't make a comment. I'm not supposed to make comments.
Dan, do you have any questions? Not yet? Okay. Lisa, any questions? Okay. Okay, the questions are up. Comments? Anyone have a comment?
I like it. I mean, it's hidden up there. I don't think story poles, they're expensive, and it's, unless you're really, I think the topos show and the sections show that they're way below your view and your house. It's appropriate that you should ask, but I don't think they're appropriate for us to require them. And yeah, I won't go any farther. I make some comments, but I won't. No, why should I?
You done?
Yes, I'm done, yes.
Lisa?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am very, very impressed with how you have used the topography of the site and how sensitive you are to the neighbors and this wonderful piece of property. I've been walking by this property for years, and those boulders really are just, there's so much soul in those boulders, and I have very positive comments about what you are proposing and just how sunken down it is into the lot. And I will be supportive of what you have and looking forward to seeing what more you develop.
Are all the rocks coming from, all the stone from the lot?
I'm sure.
Is
There's a
there?
lot of What's rock. there is staying there, for sure, and there may be some more coming in. We just look and see what we need to do. I suspicion we may, every spoon we stick in the ground.
You'll find a
results in
rock.
giant boulder, yeah.
It's an old debris flow.
Yeah, it's the uplifted debris flow.
Speaking of which, do you know what tier level they probably have to do? Tier 3, right?
Yes, tier 3.
Okay. Yeah, my comments is I think it's fabulous. I think it's incredible. And I think it kind of captures the essence and the mystique and the drama of Santa Barbara architecture. And the reason I asked about Tier 3 is because it's one of the stringent criteria in terms of water management on the property. And I don't know if you were here earlier, but with a Tier 3, they have to calculate a 50-year rain event that the entire property would retain that water. So that's an extraordinary amount of hydrological studies that they have to do in order to make that work, which also takes into account rock flow and drainage from off the property. So I think that a lot of that's going to be addressed with those concerns about drainage.
Stabilization.
Yes. So, but I think it's beautiful. I think I could support this. I think it's great. And I appreciate your studies, and you know, the section cuts really clearly illustrate how it's impacting the relationship to the other properties. Also, to what I'm looking at, it doesn't really impact the views, and even the views it does impact, it's going to be a nice view. It's going to be a nice look. So, that's my.
Mr. Chair. So
Yes.
I'll just throw in my 2 cents. I
Yeah.
agree with you 100%, and I think the design is really nice in keeping with the characteristics of Santa Barbara and our city, and I appreciate your thoughtfulness in keeping the trees and that oak groves and working this into the topography of the hillside. So I think it's very supportable.
Thank you.
So there you go.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Get your checkbook out.
Mr. Chair, we
I
need to
don't
make
know.
a motion.
Oh, do we have to make a motion? Oh,
We didn't make a motion.
Jan, would you like to make a motion, please? Sorry, put you on the spot.
I'd like to make a motion that we would like to give this project very positive comments. We find your design in keeping with the positive, beautiful characteristics of Santa Barbara, and we are appreciative of the way you've worked your home into the topography of the lot and in keeping the trees and the landscape. And we know that this will, you will have to touch on Tier 3 water management with this, and so to rest assured for the neighbors that stormwater management will be taken care of with this building.
Very good, thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
I second it.
Oh, Joe seconds it. Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do you
I'm
want
not
to keep your
confused.
extra set of plans?
6. Hey,
Okay.
we're through 5 and 6.
All right. All right, 3070 Seacliff. Yeah, Margie. You're our last one.
I'm the last one. Hopefully it's not the worst for last.
For that, yeah, they say. I sure hope. Okay, let me see. Where's my agenda? Okay. So this is a returning item, I understand. So we have minutes. So Lisa, if you'd like to give us the minutes, and then we'll go from there.
Yes. The minutes from the previous meeting state that the style of the house, in terms of how the project is maintained, its original character is appreciated. The standing seam metal roof on the garage addition is acceptable, given that the seam shall be no greater than 1 inch high. A non-glare material for the standing seam roof is recommended. Provide samples of the roof material. Provide a more detailed landscape plan that calls out hardscapes. Provide Tier 3 stormwater management plan. Clarify the garage door material and show light fixtures.
Thank you. So if you could introduce yourself and show us how you address these notes.
My name is Kristen Stoyanova, and I'm representing Anacapa Architecture.
Great.
So I believe the first item. So the standing seam metal roof. I actually was having a little bit of we caught an error when we received our completeness review, so I have brought a few sheets that show the elevation.
There you go.
Yeah. I was saying that when reading through our completedness review, we noticed one error on the elevations that were causing one of them to read a little differently. So I actually, yes. Thank you so much. This might be easier. First comment is the standing seam metal roof on the garage addition is acceptable given that the standing seam roof should be no greater than 1 inch. We have confirmed that the slope of the roof, it's a 1.5 to 12 slope, that we have a manufacturer spec from Taylor Metal Products saying that we can't actually achieve that with a 1 inch standing seam. And I have also, I guess this is the next comment, is a non-glare material for the standing seam metal roof. We've chosen a light gray.
Okay.
This is, sterling gray by Taylor. Provide samples of the roof material. So this is the one that we have chosen. I have brought an alternate in case the board does not approve of it.
Can you bring it? Let's just come see this.
This is the roof?
Yes, for the garage portion only.
Okay.
So the gravel roof is to remain on the house. It's a mid-century inspired house, Eichler inspired. For now, the client has said that they would like to retain the original gravel roof. And so the only addition will be here, as we can no longer put in gravel roofs.
Which is basically extended, the roof is just extended right out. You're just.
Yeah, it's actually right here. I think it might be a little bit easier to see. So the garage is actually angled into the house just to make it easiest to see it right here. So the garage portion is right here. So there's a roof line that directly echoes the slope of the original house like this, and the roof of the garage goes like this over. It's the exact same slope, just in a different material.
Because you're saying since the slope is so shallow that the seam has to be higher than what we were wanting.
No, actually, the seam we were able to achieve exactly with what ABR wanted. Yeah, we were a little bit worried about it because I think most conventional products, they state that the slope has to be greater, like a 3 to 12, but we were able to find one that achieved the same thing. Our next client is provide a more detailed landscape plan that calls out the hardscapes. This is the same plan as the one in your set. I've included a colored plan. The hardscape is as remains. We're proposing concrete patio here with a step-down wood deck and a pool under a future permit. A wooden deck here, which we're expecting to have these slight spacing between so water can still infiltrate directly down. And at this point, we have a civil engineer that has been executed on the project, but we couldn't get a full Tier 3 stormwater management plan.
He wasn't killed on the project.
He was not killed. He was, sorry, he was signed up on the project. But in preliminary discussions about this project, we've identified a few areas for Tier 3 stormwater management and some practices that we would like to implement on the site. We would like to do a vegetated swale, and one location that we found, these are existing fruit trees in a fruit orchard. I believe they're citrus. So we were discussing adding a vegetated swale in this location to try to filter the water out towards the street, including raised planter boxes in the front of the house and this side patio. And I believe we are also going to try to do detached gutters to channel the remainder of the water that could come off of the roof.
Okay. So okay.
The next one is clarify the garage door material.
Okay.
The garage door material, actually it might be best to view it on that one as well. But we are proposing an Ipe garage door. Which is visible in this. I think the annotation's been added in that one. It is. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, that was me.
We've called them out as kind of, I believe, this is the elevation that is not reading correctly, actually. That I have those ones. Do you mind if I pull the elevations from that set? Garage door to match the wood at the exterior, and here is the another additional note that it's to be a horizontal wood Ipe, a 1x6 plank, and there is actually one additional item that the board has not yet had an opportunity to review. Since our last meeting, the client has indicated they would like to put in a site wall along the front of the property, which is to be of a CMU with a stucco coating and have also Ipe man doors and a motorized gate.
What's the height?
Currently, we are proposing it at about 5'10", and that's to match the ones that are existing on the neighbor's property. In speaking to Erica, we will be needing a administrative exemption, I believe, to proceed with final approval on the gate.
Regarding that gate?
Yes.
So do you have any drawings of it?
I do.
Okay.
I have them on the site plan as well,
Okay.
but I can show you the elevation to begin. So this is going to be along the front property line, and it's actually a little bit lower than the neighbor's current gates. I think here we're showing it at 5'11", not 5'10".
Okay.
And this is the Ipe material, once again, that we are proposing to use.
So is that wall included on the landscape plan?
Yes, it is.
Let's take a look at that. Where would it be?
It is located right here. It's on the property line, which is why we will need to get an exemption. The reason that we would actually like to keep it on the property line and we will be applying it for an administrative exemption is because if we were to push it to beyond the 10 feet, which would be required for a higher gate, then we would be directly affecting the drip line and the root systems of these existing avocados.
Okay. Do you have pictures of adjacent neighbors showing these kind of walls?
I do.
So it's kind of
Actually, in this set. So this is one of the neighbor's properties, and this is the gate directly adjacent. I'll just show a site plan. This is another of the neighbors that has an approximately 6-foot tall gate. This is the directly adjacent one, and I believe this is showing our property is right here.
I think we just looked at this property. Across the street. It's the corner of that massive land that was
that was.
Oh, right.
That was condemned, or they're
Yes.
removing the soil all around the back of that and the side of it.
I think these views might also show some of those the side walls from the neighbors. This is our property. I think one of the differences to point out in these is that our setback is actually on the edge of the street versus the neighbors' properties. All of their fences are set back 10 feet from their property lines, but their property lines extend to the middle of the
And yours doesn't?
right of way. Ours does not. Ours is the only one on the block that does not.
Lucky you.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of an interesting, I guess, design challenge there. Oh, sorry, sir.
Back to the wall again. Where is the wall?
It's on this page right here.
Okay. Actually, I want to see the site plan, sorry.
Oh, sure, no problem.
So this is your wall,
Yes, that's the.
and these are your neighbor's walls.
Yes, these are
So
our
your
neighbor's
walls is
wall.
actually being set back. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, because our property line is set back.
You're hanging down. Oh, yeah, got it. Not hanging.
Okay.
This is the property line and kind of showing where it is. Their property lines extend to the middle of the street, which is approximately right here.
So show me the photograph of this wall again, just.
Sure.
I just want to feel a little more comfortable.
That curved one is
Yeah.
this one right here.
Okay. Okay. Good.
So ours would be, I guess on this picture, you would see our wall go
Yeah. Okay, great.
to right there.
Good.
And I believe the last item on comments, yes, was our lighting. And I actually included the light fixtures on that last plan as well. And the site plan might actually reference their locations a little bit better. But we are proposing 3 different types of light fixtures for this project. One is a LED shallow shade. This is just
Which you
landscape.
actually have right here.
Yes, I have those.
Cool.
This is more of we've chosen accent. This will be more on the sides of the property and more where the, I guess, owner sees it a little bit more. And this is to be on the site wall. Actually, I don't have it called out anywhere on the site wall, but this is the one that we're using on the front next to the garage and at the entry as lighting. We figured this was a slightly more robust fixture.
Got it. Okay. Well, thank you. So you, where's my minutes? Here we go. Stormwater management plan, did you? Yeah. She went through that?
Yeah, the vegetated
Yeah,
swale.
vegetated swale.
Thank you. Got it.
Can we ask questions?
Yes.
So will you be able to do any planting in front of the wall, or is it right on the street?
It's a good question, because that's what I was asking, but it actually.
Our property line is currently there, so we're proposing our wall, I guess, directly adjacent to it. There are some fruit trees currently existing. I believe since it's not our property, then we can't really propose landscaping on it.
Is there dirt there?
It's a
Or
little
is it
bit.
right onto
It's
concrete or something?
the avocado orchard kind of. Sorry,
You
let me
it,
see.
Jan?
Yeah.
It actually does set back a little bit. If this corner wall is this
This
corner.
one might show it a little bit
Oh, there
better.
you go. So they're actually farther back from the adjacent walls.
Okay.
So as far, the paving does not go to the wall.
Okay, that
So
was
there's-
what I was,
there's,
so there
uh,
is a little bit
draw a
of.
line?
The no man's land
Yeah,
there
sure.
that they will landscape.
And lots of the homes there have gated, 6-foot gated walls.
I know,
At-
I've
on-
been up there.
okay.
I just was wondering, because this picture looks like it's right on the cement, so
Yeah.
I just was.
It actually goes, you can see the line, my line,
Okay,
and it's actually behind these 2 plants.
okay,
Yeah.
that was my question.
That was what I was-
Just for my own interest, you're the only lot that's just got massive trees behind it. Looks like everybody else has taken all their trees out for view.
I think this is one of, I think the clients would completely agree with us that those eucalyptus trees on that bluff are spectacular. They only add to that view.
Wow. There you go. So did we get any comments or public comments?
No, Mr. Chair.
Right, so I'll bring it back to the board. And we were into questions. Any other questions? All right. I don't have any. You answered all my questions. Thank you. Any comments?
I think we've spent quite a bit of time on the site plan and not enough time on the house itself. Looking at the house, looking at the, analyzing just between our
Well,
looking at the house.
the initial meeting, it said the style of the house in terms of how the project has maintained its original character is appreciated.
Okay.
The standing seam metal roof on the garage addition is acceptable, given that the standing seam roof shall be no greater than 1 inch, which is what she accomplished. So I think we kind of did do that.
Okay, we did it before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, so you're here for project design approval with preservation shot light, and plus you're requesting a variance, I guess, for the adjacent minor administrative exception for the wall along the property line.
Mr. Chair, can I
Yes.
just clarify the memo? You're not actually approving the administrative exception. That's done internally with staff, but we will look for positive comments from the board in order to make that determination.
Got it, thank you. So who would like to make a motion?
I will.
Great.
All right, the board would like to give this project the following comments. That we would like to give it project design approval, and that we appreciate that you have brought us a sample of the sterling gray colored standing seam roof color. That you will be doing the 1-inch seam that we requested. That you've shown the hardscape to be labeled on your site plan. That for your initial Tier 3 approach, the vegetated swale and detaching gutters to channel water into the landscape is acceptable at this stage. We find the garage door to be aesthetically appropriate, and that the board feels the site wall on the property line, the new proposed site wall is supportable, being that given the constraints of the neighbors. The neighborhood? No, forget that. It's just acceptable.
Okay.
Okay.
Board Member James, sorry. Can you include
MPO?
that this is a condition of approval, that they receive approval of the administrative exception?
Provide evidence that the administrative exception to allow the proposed fence to exceed the required 3'6" height within the 10-foot
Of the front.
of the front lot line has been approved by the Community Development Department.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Doesn't she need to give?
Do I need MPO? Not at this point.
Yes.
Oh, I do. Okay.
Yeah, hillside and slope lot.
This project has followed the follows good neighbor guidelines, and the following NPO findings show that the project is compatible with the neighborhood and uses consistency and appearance in its architecture. The materials are of quality, and good neighbor guidelines have been followed. The hillside slope lot findings find that the natural topography has not been altered in any way, and that the scale of the building does not pose any problems. And that's it.
And can you confirm whether you want to continue the project to full board or consent for final approval?
We can bring it to consent.
I second that.
I would also like to comment that we approve of the lighting choices that we asked you to bring.
Thank you.
And the garage door material.
So does the seconder agree to that?
Seconder agrees.
Oh, who's the seconder here?
Who seconded it?
Who's on record of seconding the motion?
Yes, I agree. I concur. Is that the word for it?
Okay.
Okay.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. See you on consent. All right, thank you very much. Well, that concludes the Single Family Design Board, unless there's any other announcements? No? All right, for February 18th. Good night.
Good night.